Right now on 710, we're taking off with 9 hours of live and local LA Sports Talk.
The home of the 9-hour LA Sports Mega Block.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking.
We call it the LAX, LA Sports Mega Block. Of course, powered every day by LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, where change arrives daily. Let's get to it. Time to get in the air. We're taking off, LA.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Travis and Sliwa has clearance right now.
Yeah! AK back in the house. Brian was here the last couple of days. M, good morning. Jorge, good morning. How's everybody feeling? You guys good? I'm pretty excited. It's football season. It's finally here. We've been waiting for many months, and we get the team that really everybody's dying to see on every Thursday of Thanksgiving, early in the morning, the Detroit Lions. Only this time we're actually a little bit excited to see it. It's football season.
The Lions.
That's a lion. That's a lion.
There is nothing more adorable than Emily's roar.
It's pretty good. It's very friendly. It's not scary.
It sounds like a little cub, like discovering its voice.
It's like Simba learning.
It's Simba when he's with Timon and Pumbaa. He hasn't quite found his voice yet.
When he's facing the hyenas,
Yeah, those hyenas.
It's like the vocal equivalent of when a deer is using its Bambi legs and figuring out how to walk. That's what Emily sounds like. It's so endearing. I could listen to it all day. It's wonderful.
There you go. I have to look every time to see if it's her or it's I was going to say Memorex, but you and I would be the only people that would know what that even means, right?
Lord.
Do you even know what that means?
If it wasn't real, it was Memorex.
Okay, there you go. And they'd make the wine glass shatter. I'm like, can I just have a tape? Like, can we just keep it moving? It's National Beer Day today, which is very, very
Beer
exciting.
Lovers Day.
Beer Lovers Day.
Day.
I feel like they go together. I feel
sure,
like Beer
but we
Day.
need to be specific here because there's also a National Beer Day that's going to happen again in probably a month.
Perfect. Then we'll have both. Are you a beer lover, Andy?
I am a beer lover. The beer lovers.
IPA guy?
I do like an IPA. I understand the stigma and the image.
Like you to work today.
This is where they make your Godfather joke here, right?
Yeah.
Well, look, I again, the risk of aging myself like Travis and I just did with the Memorex reference. I worked years ago at the Westwood Brewing Company, one of a couple microbreweries that I worked at during the period where microbreweries were starting to become a thing, which again...
How long was your beard at the time?
Well, it's funny. At one point, I actually did have a long beard, not because I was a hipster, but because it was back when I was still pursuing acting. I was in a play, and I grew out a long beard for a play.
Did you also play the banjo?
I did not play the banjo.
How many flannel shirts did you own?
Well, that wasn't, though, a hipster thing. That was a style in the mid-'90s.
Well,
everyone had their flannels.
Grunge kind of stylish
everybody had their flannels in the 90s.
But it does feel like they go together. The flannel shirt now.
Well, they do now, but then, nobody was calling Chris Cornell or Kurt Cobain hipsters back in the day. Like, that was the style.
Taylor rocked the flannel every day, right?
Well, Taylor's not a hipster, but he's kind of a rock and roll type.
He's cool.
But the reason I bring all this up is I was getting into IPA. God, this sounds so hipster. I was getting into IPAs before the rest of you.
I knew IPAs before they sold out.
Classic IPA guy.
But I was not an IPA snob about it. I just like the way they taste.
What does IPA
Like a
stand
Fruit
for?
Loop IPA.
India Pale Ale.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's
Not to be confused with the American Pale Ale, which is
Of course.
a different amount of happiness.
it's very different.
There's much more happiness involved with the India Pale Ale as opposed to the American
Much
Pale Ale.
hoppier, much more bitter. Right?
Yes.
Typically.
Well, that's the hops, Travis.
Did you wear your wire-rimmed glasses as well?
No.
Okay.
Did you have a snake wrapped around your neck or a bird on your shoulder?
How quirky were you?
Years ago.
A chain in your wallet.
Oh yeah,
Never had that. Never had the chain for my wallet.
You felt like you were about to tell me you either had a snake or a bird phase in your life.
No. But back in the day, at Amoeba on Sunset,
the record
original,
store?
the original one. It's
there.
Well, it's been redone. It's been relocated.
Yeah.
But the original one, there used to be a guy in there. Every time I ever would go in there, and I was in there a fair amount because they got a lot of music, a lot of movies, all sorts of stuff that I like. Every time he was in there with a yellow boa constrictor around his neck. This one looked even big by boa standards. But also, years ago, I remember I was driving through this residential area, and this car starts just backing out of its driveway, like going quick for backing out and almost hits me. As
You're a
I'm
pedestrian
driving.
or you're in another car?
I'm in another car.
Okay.
I'm like, what the F? Like, what? Oh, okay, that makes sense. This woman was backing out of her car with a macaw on her shoulder. And the macaw created a blind spot, which it made sense at that point. I'm like, okay, that's why you're backing out like that. You can't see me because of the macaw on your shoulder.
Well, officer, see, here's what happened. My macaw was causing a blind spot when I plowed into that school bus of orphans.
I was like, how does anyone oh, that's how. Okay, that makes sense.
And I'm sure that the guy with the yellow boa is probably like, why are you always staring at my snake, bro? Well, because you have a snake and it's a record store.
I mean,
that's why.
Neon yellow. This thing was.
Look, he needed you to see it. He's not going to wear one that was camouflaged into his T-shirt or his jacket or whatever.
No, this was like Starburst yellow, this boa.
Starburst, yeah, the yellow Starburst are pretty good.
They are good.
They are good. Emily,
Are you kidding me?
No, they're the best ones.
I love that Emily has opinions on
Absolutely
Starburst.
the worst
Okay,
one.
can I tell you
It's
something?
lemon.
I want to tell you something. I knew it would bother her. It's the only reason.
Hey,
I said
you want
what
to
I
hear
said.
something else?
I
Brian
think
says
that-
you have too many rules.
Yeah,
fine.
Brian's like, you have a lot of rules, but I
But
knew.
also that Andy also had a lot of rules.
I knew.
I
that-
have a lot of rules.
Apparently.
I took a shot at orange or lemon because I know she's not a huge citrus fan, and I knew that one of those two would aggravate her a little bit. That's
Pink is by far the best.
what is that? Strawberry?
Yes, it's
The
pink
red
is
one.
Pink, then red.
Yes.
Pink, red is great. Pink, then red. Orange, then yellow. Guys, it's very simple.
Okay, I'm not-
They sell just pink and red Starburst because that's the most popular flavors. They don't sell all yellow.
They should.
Just Travis
I'd buy them.
I'm not
That's a
saying
bad
this.
business plan.
I'm not saying this just to troll Emily. I really like the citrus ones too.
Okay.
I think they're really good.
You two can buy them, and then me and Jorge can eat the pink and the red ones.
The red ones, the pink ones, I don't mind. Pink ones are pretty good. The red one's pretty gross.
Okay,
actually.
according to Brian, what rules do I have?
No, not you have a lot of rules.
No,
Emily has
he
a lot
also
of
said
rules.
that Andy has a lot of rules.
I just remember the one we said that you used to call him a lot and ask about expired food, that whether or not he should eat something or you should eat
Well, that's
something.
not a rule. That's a phobia. That's neurosis.
If something was 3 days old, you would ask him, hey, should I eat this?
Oh,
By the way, good question.
That and mold.
I have like a gag reflex to mold. I am
Don't we all?
scared. No, I mean like dry heaving gag reflex.
Just the sight of it?
Sometimes even
the
just
idea?
the thought of it. Yeah. It's
Your chin did go down to your chest when the word mold got
I
mentioned.
don't do well.
How do you
with
feel about
mold.
fungi? Do you like mushrooms?
I love mushrooms.
Okay.
If you want to say what the hell,
No,
I'm not going to
it's
argue.
very a fine phobia to have of mold. You should have a phobia of mold.
No,
Mold
mold's
is-
not good for you. You should try to
Yeah.
stay away
No,
from
but
it. It's
I
also the
am-
reason we have penicillin.
I'm allergic to penicillin though.
Okay, well, maybe this is some sort of like lizard brain thing that's telling you
I
to
am
stay away.
unusually frightened of mold. I have an issue with expired food. I like to hit it before the date.
I don't think that's weird at all.
Some people think the whole expiration thing is just a racket.
It's big milk.
Yeah, it's big
Okay,
milk. It's big dairy.
I
It's
think-
big poultry.
I think there's things like milk and cheese that you have to be very strict on, but there's other things that, like, again, you can.
Give me one that you can be a little more lax on.
Eggs, apparently.
Eggs?
Yeah, eggs.
I didn't even know that they expire.
Yeah,
We eat them so
exactly.
fast in the house. They never. The
Yeah, when
idea
get
that they
there.
could go. Yeah, they're that had a dozen and a half eggs that we buy. That's gone in 3 or
Like
4
some
days.
condiments too are like kind of fib it a little bit
Really?
too.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm never checking that stuff.
Yeah.
If that mustard's been in the door for 5 years, I don't know. I'm
But,
just gonna keep
but
eating
dairy,
it.
I'm
dairy and cheese, you don't
checking
mess
like
with.
daily.
Are you really? No, I get the dairy, I get the cheese, I get the meats, like these sorts of things. But like you're checking that bottle of barbecue sauce in your door that you haven't hit for a few months, really?
Mm-hmm.
And it's close. We're tossing it, or it has to be beyond.
No, it has to be beyond.
What if it's tomorrow?
If it's close, I give it like a
What
strong
about Best
sniff.
Buy versus Sell By?
Yeah. Well, best buy means you're all right, right?
Yeah.
Use by means the day after this you're taking
Yeah,
a
one
food
is
poisoning trip.
one is a recommendation. The other's a directive.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
No, but I've had stuff used by. I've used it 2 days, a day after, and I'm fine.
See, you fall
It's
into
just
the
an
Susan
it's
camp.
just an estimated date.
That's what Susan said. That's not. It's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
That cup of yogurt that said it expired 3 days ago it's fine.
Or like bread. Like I've done it with bread. I'm craving a sandwich or whatever, and I see the ones that have that little green on it, and I'm like, okay, I'll skip it. I'll go to the next one who doesn't have it, or I'll cut out the little green on it. I just wanted to see.
On the mold on the bread? Just scrape it off.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Just don't use that bread.
What if it's the last piece?
Or cut that little
and
piece
you
out.
don't have that bread.
Yeah, no, I'm with Jorge.
Yeah,
I'll cut
take
it off
that little corner out.
because you can see it. Like it's the unseen that I'm worried about. It's the unseen bacteria inside the cheese that's taking over.
I don't have the bread.
Andy physically just moved
just
farther away
I,
from me.
I would be tempted. Like my first inclination is to light the entire fridge on fire. Like
to move.
yes. Like I don't do that, but I'm saying that's my instinct.
Does
Scrambled
your
or
daughter
sunny
share
side up?
this?
No.
Because sometimes you pass these little quirks on to your family members.
No, but you know it's funny though. You know this as a parent, Jorge. You'll start to, I think, become more aware of this as your kids start getting older and really, truly developing their own personalities. You start becoming aware of the things about you that are alike with your kids and the things that are different, and it can be awesome and it can be horrible.
Andy, did you watch The Last of Us?
I watched a couple episodes. I didn't get into it.
Okay, I'm just gonna say because it's so the reason why this the creatures are there is because of mold, fungi. So yeah. I thought it would freak you out. Which is why
No, it just bored me.
Which of your personality traits have you passed on to your daughter? You're like, that's on me, and I really don't like that because I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's one of those. Yeah, I may have made a mistake. Look, every parent out there knows. You make a million mistakes. You just hope that they're not catastrophic ones.
Yeah.
But that whole thing where you'll hear something come out of their mouth or do something, you're like, yeah, that's not great, and that's because I put it there.
Yeah, my daughter is a better student than I was, and I think she, if for no other reason than she's a pleaser, and I think she wants to do what she's supposed to do with school. She will get better grades than I am. She has the same overall academic disinterest that I had. And I watched that going, oh, man. Because if I could do it over, I would have tried harder.
Well, here's I feel exactly the same way. If somebody would have told me when I went to college, right? Because in high school was easy, right? You just show up, you're going to get A's and B's. If you just sit there and it goes in by osmosis, you're going to be fine. But in college, you actually have to do a little bit of work. If somebody would have said to me, I don't care what your grades are. Just try to learn something. Go take the classes that sound interesting to you and try to learn something along the way. That would have been a much better way to approach it as opposed to, hey, you need to make sure you got one science, one art, I'm like, okay, I'm just checking the boxes to get them done as opposed to go try to learn a thing that interests you.
That's actually the thing. It's not even so much the grades.
No, who
I
cares?
feel like there's a lot of actual learning and knowledge that I would like to have as a base that I know that I don't have, and you're too busy as an adult to scoop it all up and to relearn it.
Can I make a suggestion? And you've probably done this, and you might have one in your house. It's one of those, for lack of a better word, toilet books. That's like the 100 things you need to know, and it's like 3 pages on the 100 most, and you feel like Albert Einstein. You feel like you know everything after reading 2 pages of this thing. This is like I'm a genius.
Like when I was in college, my grades actually got better. I was taking more classes that I wanted to take. You start becoming hyper aware of tuition. It's like, okay, seriously, like I owe it to my parents. To at least maintain some baseline of respectability.
Sure.
But in high school, my teachers all used to try to motivate me by saying, look, we know you're smart. Like, we know you're not studying, and you're getting B's and C's without even cracking a book. If you would just apply yourself, you'd be getting A's. I'm like, well, I agree. And if you agree, I don't see any reason to prove it. Like, I'm totally good.
I already know how smart I am.
Yeah, I'm totally good with everybody believing I could do this. The way they should have motivated me, be like, you're a dumbass. I'm surprised you're getting B's and C's.
Yeah,
like, you're an idiot.
You respond to negative feedback more than positive feedback.
I'm much more, at least in that sense, more driven by spite and F off. Yeah. No, like, I felt no need to really bust my ass to get an A on this thing. I'm like, if you think I'm capable, I'm more than willing to just play video games instead.
All right, here's what we got coming up today. We've got our first edition of our picks against the spread. That's coming up in the 12 o'clock hour. We're going to have our typical Thursday draft, and we're drafting, Emily, what today?
Mascots.
Any type of mascot?
Any type of mascot.
So university mascots, professional sports mascots, television mascots, anything?
Yep. Anything you can think of that's a mascot.
Very wide net to cast. I like it. And JB Long, voice of the Rams, going to join us at 11 o'clock. Get us ready for what's coming up on Sunday up in Seattle. No Cooper Kupp. We'll talk about that coming up before too long. Here's the good news. There's something going on with the Dodgers that looks bad. It's not a big deal at all. There's something else going on that looks bad that's actually much worse than you might think. We'll do that next. It's Trav and Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN. Are you dealing with a dead battery? If so, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. They offer free battery services like their free battery testing and free battery charging as well. Their free battery testing can help you know if you need a new battery or not, or if you just need a fresh charge. And if you happen to need a replacement battery, they can help with that as well. They're the only place you can find proven tough, Duralast batteries. So the next time you're having battery trouble, head to AutoZone, your battery solution and America's #1 battery destination.
All right, when I think me, I think golf. Don't you? A couple of years ago, I challenged John Ireland.
Oh, that one sounded really good. Yeah, that one was better. Remember, full swing, hit the sand. We'll get there.
He kicked my ass. Now, for some reason, they put me into a par 3 challenge at the 10th annual ESPN LA golf tournament at Black Gold. It's me and the owner of the station, Sam, versus corporate Greg and John Ireland. God, Sam better play good this day.
Thursday night football, Andy. Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champion, against the team that everybody thinks is going to be awesome, the Detroit Lions. Guess they've never seen Jared Goff in a game that matters, but that's another issue in and of itself.
Don't you want the Lions to win? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be fun to root for a new team that's good? Because they've been so crappy for so long.
You make a good argument, and it's not an unreasonable position to stake out. I just don't want it to be the Lions.
Why?
I don't know. Dan Campbell is a lot, and I don't like it when everybody's on something from the beginning. It's like one of those, they're going to be really... Can we just see it once before we think it's actually good? You know what I mean? It's just, no, they went 9-8 last year, and everybody's saying like they went 16-1.
No, but they jumped up from 3-13.
I'm aware.
It's like
I'm probably being a hater.
That's a strong counterpoint. I'm aware.
It's like everyone being on the Orioles being great this year, like in this past offseason.
Are the Detroit Lions the IPA of the NFL?
But I would love to literally just have a pet lion.
Yes.
Just
apparently they killed that idea that he wanted to have a lion on the side.
No fun league. No fun league.
Was going.
We're going to kick you in the teeth.
Apparently they killed.
All right. And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. All right.
Sure, Coach. Whatever. You know what it is? I think that Jorge, that was very helpful for me because I don't respond to that. You know what I mean? Like, and the people that do respond to that make me kind of go, really? Like that's the kind of thing that gets you excited to go do a thing. Like, I need more of an intellectual stimulation as opposed to something.
We're going to kick you in the teeth.
We're going to kick you in the teeth, and we're going to bite your kneecaps off on the way up.
It's like, really, bro? Come on,
So it's the difference between Sean McVay, who again just says a lot of stuff, but he also says stuff where you're seeing the football in a different way, as opposed to Dan Campbell, who says we're just going to kill the competition.
Or Andy Reid. Andy Reid, I'm talking about biting your kneecap off, and we're going to go.
But Andy Reid loves hamburgers.
And Andy Reid does love hamburgers, and he likes Hawaiian shirts, and that just speaks to me.
Okay.
Like Pete Carroll, very enthusiastic. It's not this meat-headed, we're going to pound you into the ground. It's like, just doesn't work on me.
He's a football guy.
I get it. I'm not saying it doesn't work on others. I'm saying it doesn't work on
But
me.
he's right about the lion.
Yeah.
He's 100% right about having the lion on the sideline.
Roars! How big of a lion are we talking? Like,
biggest lion possible.
Doesn't some universities have like live lions as their mascots preview for?
I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain LSU had an actual tiger.
Well, they did for a while, and they eventually had to get rid of it. And I remember the only reason I remember this is somebody on Twitter. I think I sent this to you because it was so funny. Someone had this cartoon of what's his name? The swamp coach. What is his name? Orgeron, like letting this tiger loose, going like, go get your old tiger.
Everything's on the line.
Everything's on the line.
Go get to freedom there.
Didn't the Dolphins have an actual dolphin?
That
was that just in the movie?
I think that was in Ace Ventura.
Yeah,
I don't think that actually happened in real life.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't think that Dan Marino was trying to thread it under Flipper's fin as he went on the
but
field.
who knows? The Rays have stingrays in their thing,
A stingray, I don't know.
Everything's
Maybe
on
the
the line.
line is the line, but a lion feels like much too majestic of a beast to be caged on a sideline of a football game. Whereas a Ray, I don't know.
No, you
That
don't
feels
cage
all right.
him.
What? I mean, loose?
Not
What is
loose.
it,
He's on a.
like the buffalo. Like the buffalo for Colorado where it runs across
Ralphie.
the field.
He's on
By the
the
way,
side.
Ralphie might be a good pick in our draft.
He's
later
on the
today.
sideline on a strong leash with a certain amount of slack. In an area.
You'd have to have a radius of however long the rope is.
We all saw Tiger King, right? So
Yes.
I mean,
I know that it's possible.
I'm never
going to
financially recover from this.
Yeah.
No, but you wouldn't put him in a cage. That's a terrible idea. You allow him to, within reason, roam the sideline.
I feel like there's maybe some unforeseen circumstances that could arise.
I mean, you're going to plan ahead.
They have Bevo. I'm trying to think of like things that could go wrong in a major. Bevo could go super wrong.
well, it almost took down Uga because Bevo like roared at Uga.
But Bevo could kill a person. It's I don't know how much
yes.
Bevo weighs, 5,000 pounds, and it's got the horns. Ralphie's dangerous.
Yes.
If you can train a lion to be in the circus, there's no reason you can't train to just watch a football game.
Alabama needs to have a live elephant.
Sure. Like Stampy from The Simpsons. Right over there and just drive a little stake in the ground, and he's ready to go. All right. Dodgers lost again to the Marlins last night. They got blown out. Whatever. The ebb and flow of the Dodgers are going to win the West. The Dodgers are going to be on ice for the first round of the playoffs, waiting for whoever it is that comes out of their half of the wild card draw. And however hot they were 10 days ago and however cold they are right now, doesn't really concern me all that much. Mookie Betts is a great player. Freddie Freeman's a great player. Hopefully JD's back and Max is. We know what it is, right? And I think that offensively, it's going to be what it's going to be. They're either going to be hot, cold, or somewhere in between, and there's no predicting it. No one knows how to get hot at the right time. So that they're getting slapped around by the Marlins a little bit doesn't really concern me all that much. They literally do not have a viable starting pitching option beyond Bobby Miller at this point on their team. that is a real problem. That for a team that's going to be the number 2 seed, it's Bobby Miller, and I don't know. That's not.
I'll take it a step further. Forget the idea of not having a viable starting option beyond Bobby Miller, like somebody that you really feel good about 6 or 7 innings.
Yeah.
They don't have a rotation.
No.
Like an actual, forget bad rotation. They don't have a rotation of live bodies as traditionally defined for a rotation.
Their rotation, extreme air quotes happening right now if you're not watching us on the YouTube feed, their rotation will be Bobby Miller for however as long as he can go, and then literally however many games you play beyond getting back to Bobby Miller again will be some version of a bullpen game. Clayton Kershaw's games are now bullpen games. Not by, hey, we're having a bullpen day today. I know it's going to – Kersh is our starter, but he may go 2 innings. He may go – if he's –
You think it's going to be that extreme for him?
I really do. If you look – it's not just the velo that's way, way down. He's walking guys. Clayton Kershaw doesn't walk people. He walked 5 guys against the Marlins. In the start against the Arizona Diamondbacks prior to that, he was walking guys. I think he's walked 10 guys – he's walked 8 guys in his last 10 innings. Clayton Kershaw? 8 walks in 10 innings? That's not who he is. And if there's traffic, and Clayton Kershaw does give up home runs, not a big deal if there's nobody on, but if you walk a guy or 2 and you give one up, it's a totally different thing. His shoulder, despite this...
Where's the state of the shoulder?
I feel fine. Yeah, I feel fine. That's not the problem. Yeah, I feel fine.
It is the problem. Everybody knows it's the problem.
He sounds like he's convincing himself.
He does. So... he's going to be on a very short leash. If you could put it, you answer the question, Andy. If I told you I can get you 4 Clayton Kershaw innings and 2 runs, you going to take it?
Yeah,
me too. So that, and I think that just speaks to where we are with our expectations.
But like normally, a rotation is like for a 7-game series, 3 guys definitely in there, maybe a 4th guy, depending on how you feel about either that 4th guy or bringing the number 1 guy back again. The Dodgers right now. It feels like more bullpen games than traditional starter, which means you don't have a rotation.
It's 3 bullpen games to 1 traditional starter because even if Walker Buehler comes back, that's a bullpen day.
Yeah.
He's not going to pitch into the 5th, 6th, 7th inning. It's not the only guy that you can reasonably say, I hope we get through 6 innings today, is Bobby Miller.
Who's a rookie.
Who's a rookie. Now, he's a very good rookie, but he's incredibly inexperienced. He's never pitched in the postseason. This is all new. Ryan Pepio, really good arm, really good stuff. He's going to get a start, but is that a full start? Probably not. Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, Emmett Sheehan, any of these guys. You can't really throw Lance Lynn out there after seeing what he's done the last 2 games. Or you throw him out there with the second one lands in the seats, we're taking you out of the game. That's a bullpen day.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe these guys like Sheehan or Grove give you 6 or 7 innings, and that's awesome, but you can't plan on it. Like that can't be plan A. That's an awesome surprise plan C. Plus side, though, we were talking about this. If you're trying to find like a glass half full spin on this, with Bobby Miller, there had been the possibility when Kershaw looked more solid and Julio Urias was still on the team, that Bobby Miller would be the number 3, which, while it looks like a better rotation, you're looking at a guy making his playoff debut on the road. That can be difficult.
Yes.
Now Bobby Miller has to make his playoff debut at home. He's going to now debut at Dodger Stadium because he has to be your number 1. So if you're looking for some positive spin, that's it.
The other positive spin is he's got an electric arm. We've seen him pitch really well against good teams. We saw Walker Buehler early in his career be really effective in the postseason. We've seen guys like Fernando Valenzuela show up early in their career and be incredibly effective in the postseason. It's not unprecedented. It's just much, much harder. Is there a world where Gavin Stone pitches 6 innings, gives up 2 runs?
Absolutely.
Of course there is. But now it can't be That's an unbelievable surprise. If you're going to win a series, you're going to probably need one or more than one of those from somebody that's not Miller, because no one else you can honestly say, I think we're going to get to the fifth inning.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's gone.
It's not that these possibilities don't exist for the Dodgers. They absolutely do.
Right.
But they're not things that you can reasonably plan for and set your game plan around.
And there is a reasonable plan for this may be the last few times we get to see Clayton Kershaw. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Coming up tomorrow is the 10th annual SoCal Hyundai ESPN LA Golf Classic, presented by Coors Light and Hollywood Park Casino. Again, tomorrow at Black Gold Golf Club in Yorba Linda. And even if you're not playing golf with us tomorrow, make sure that you make plans to be with us for the 19th hole party starting at 4 o'clock with the afternoon show. Thanks to Tequila Mandala, the official tequila of the 19th hole. Clayton Kershaw, end of the line. That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt.
This is the 19th hole at Black Gold Golf Club, the balcony overlooking 18. This is where it's going to be. The 19th hole party, Friday, September 8th, Black Gold Golf Club, right after the ESPN LA Golf Classic starts at 4 p.m. Our friends Tequila Mandala will be out here. Sunday Swagger, the San Pedro Fish Market. You don't want to miss this, Jack. Come on, don't be gutless. Be here to party with us. 4 p.m. till ? Friday, September 8th, the ESPN LA Golf Classic, the 19th hole party with Beto Duran, Scott Kaplan, Corporate Greg, producer Lindsay, producer Laura, and me. We'll see you here, Jack.
Live from LA Live, Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
Does feel good, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Does feel good. I keep waiting for Jim Nantz to start talking at this point.
This one's pretty intense.
It's
this
good.
one is not my favorite of the list. So,
which one do you like?
So I think I really love NBC's.
Okay.
I really love NBC's and I really love Fox's. I think those are my two favorites.
What about the Monday night?
So
the Monday night
is good.
one is awesome.
I think Monday night is 3 for me, and then CBS is 4, and then NFL Network is 5.
Which one is this?
This is CBS.
CBS.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the robot.
Hello, friends. You
That's
like
also a good
Cletus?
mascot. Yeah. That's not,
Can you draft Cletus?
you can draft Cletus.
Okay. I'm not going to, but just
It's on the board.
Wait, what's the order?
For me?
No, the order of the draft.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, who's
Emily
number
first,
one?
and then whatever comes
No.
after that.
It is Travis's first.
Ah,
Picked
all
by
right. Exciting.
Carlo back there.
Thank you,
And
Carlo, for
then,
not letting her rig it for the 400th
There wasn't
week
a cold
in a
paper
row.
in there this time?
I am second, and then it's Jorge, then Andy.
Do you feel like this is a conspiracy against you, AK?
Did you
I
get
mean,
the
after
first pick last time?
I destroyed. No, I had the second.
He got
Oh,
OJ
right. Oh,
and
yes.
Aaron Hernandez
Yeah.
in our sports
Picking
scandal draft.
second.
Yeah, you killed in the
Killed
competition.
the competition, yeah.
Side note. I just want to let that one breathe.
Yeah, just let it sit there for
Breathe, dog.
Yeah. Also an unfortunate choice of words,
Yes.
given the context.
Yes.
The robot's name is Cletus?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, neither did I. I just learned it today.
Look, there's one thing that I am certain of. I have more useless nonsense stuffed into this
No, I'm
head
pretty good.
than just about anybody. But I know the robot the dancing football robot is named Cletus.
Is there a less robot-sounding name than Cletus?
Cleat like on the shoe, like Cletus. Like
I know. Well, now I
Get
get it. Now I do.
not Cletus, this Cletus the slack-jawed yokel, second Simpsons reference of the day, but Cletus as in you wear football cleats.
Still doesn't sound very robot-y, but I get it now. I do get it.
Cletus feels futuristic as an entity, but his name is very retro.
Right. You don't
Kind of
name
the yin and yang
you
of-
don't name a robot Cletus.
What Fox did.
Oh, I just pulled up the secret history of Cletus.
Yeah.
Fox Sports Bizarre football robot. Oh, I'll send you the story.
The secret.
Yeah,
He has
the
a past?
secret history.
Is it government UFOs? Like, how much do you need to keep under wraps?
What is Cletus'
13 years
backstory?
ago. 13 years ago during a football game on Sunday. Oh yeah, I'll send it to you guys.
See?
What a great start to that story, too.
Yeah.
13 years ago.
Well, of course it's 13.
The
It's
secret
mysterious,
history of
right?
Cletus.
13 is always a little hinky. Yeah, Cletus.
Also tell us what's
Very
your number.
intrigued.
Oh, true.
We've got your full attention. Join the Fun and Games department at Hollywood Park Casino this upcoming Monday. We'll be hosting a Monday Night Football watch party, giving fans a chance to play to win $1 million Mondays. You must be present to participate. We'll select 3 participants during our watch party, and they will have a chance to win $1 million. You need to be 21 or over to attend Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, play, and then a week from Sunday, Kirk and I will be out at Hollywood Park Casino for the Rams postgame show. Looking forward to that as well. That'll be
Always
the
fun. You
Niners
can,
game.
sit out some traffic, get a drink or two, play some card games.
Their games are on. You can play a little bit. There's a nice bar that you can hang out. You can
Yeah.
watch the show, talk a little Rams football. It's a very, very good
You can
spot.
grab a selfie with Travis. Maybe you can chug a beer with Travis. Who knows?
I got to drive home, so pictures, selfies, as many
it's
as we
a 2-hour
want.
post game.
Well, maybe if we do one right before. Well, Emily's trying to get me in trouble here. I don't know if that. I don't know if that goes together. This is all payback for the lemon Starburst comment.
Yeah, probably.
All right. I'm not trying to do a radio thing here. I really want to put this out there because I think there's a 50-50 shot. Maybe even a little bit more than a 50-50 shot. Maybe 60-40 that we're seeing the last handful of times we're going to see Clayton Kershaw pitch. Clayton Kershaw has every year we're doing 1-year deals. Every time he's asked about whether or not this could be his last season, he just kind of dismisses it. He never really lets you know one way or the other. He does not want to be a part-time guy. He does not want to be a guy that's just kind of out there getting through games because he can kind of get through some games at this point in his career. When he's on, he's still about as good as you're going to find. The problem is he just can't make 25, 30 starts a year. He just can't. He's hurt, even despite him saying that he's not. The Dodgers are in a weird spot right now. They're totally in some transitional period in their pitching staff that's bizarre. He doesn't want to be feted at the end of his career the way that other players might, and that's not neither good nor bad. It's his preference. If this goes the way it's feeling like it's starting to go, where he's really struggling even to get through a handful of innings, it's not a stretch to think that this is the end of the line for him. Not because he can't be effective, but because he doesn't want to do this.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to run out of gas at the end of every season over and over again and be holding on by his fingernails hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. That he's Clayton bleeping Kershaw, and he's not comfortable being anything other than that. And I wouldn't be even a little surprised if at the end of the year we find out week or two, month or two after the season, you know what? I've decided I'm done playing Major League Baseball.
I used to always have a theory about Kobe, and this was Kobe pre-Achilles tear, because post-Achilles changed the math on everything I'm about to say. And I never got the opportunity to ask Kobe about it because it was something I wanted to ask him not in a scrum, and it just became harder as his career went along to actually get him in those non-scrum periods. But around like 2012, 2013, where Kobe was still playing at a very high level, but you could see the signs of age starting to creep in relatively. I used to always think that he was going to retire, leaving a little bit on the table, as opposed to possibly putting himself in a place where he starts looking more vulnerable, because most of the great ones do not want to ever appear vulnerable.
Sure.
But also, too, like you just mentioned with Kershaw, Kobe played basketball in a very specific way for very specific reasons, and if he could not do that thing, which is be the focal point of an elite championship team, really with the Lakers, he had no interest in doing anything else. Like, he was not going to be Vince Carter, who was a Hall of Famer, but spent the last 5 years of his career as a high-end role guy. And it was actually, side note, pretty fascinating to watch that career reinvention. Kobe had no interest in that. And I think Kershaw, I agree with you, doesn't have any interest in something like that. He wants to be the ace of, I think, the Dodgers, pitching at Clayton Kershaw level. The other thing, too, and it's not apples to apples because, LeBron is still playing at a very high level over the course of entire seasons, but it's work for LeBron in ways that LeBron used to make dominance look easy.
So did Kershaw.
Yeah. It does not look easy for either one of them anymore. They can still do it, but you see the effort. You see the sweat. And that's often something else that makes, LeBron, I think, was being candid when he talked after the Western Conference Finals about considering retiring. Why wouldn't he?
Well, I think there just comes a moment where it hits you, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. He's got children that are getting the age where, look, you're a father, I'm a father, Jorge's a father. When they're babies, there's not a lot of stuff that you have to be there for. They need their mothers far more than they need their fathers. And you be around as much as you can.
It's more about trying, if you can, to not miss the milestones. Right. Like the first word, the first step.
First day of school, all of these. But there comes a point where you do want to be there for school plays and recitals and little leagues and whatever else it may be. You want to be there for that. And when you have means like Kershaw, you can make decisions. And you just go back and look at how these last few seasons for him have gone. And they're all virtually identical, where at the beginning of the season, he's terrific. Takes a little bit of a break. He comes back. He's pretty good again. And then when you start to get towards the back end of it, it really starts to taper off because he's got about 100 innings or so in the tank. And they're using the 100 innings at the front part and the middle part of the season. By the time you get to the end, like you're talking about with Kobe, I don't just kind of want to be out here gritting my teeth, hoping to, white knuckle my way through 4 or 5 innings. I'm Clayton Kershaw, and his margins right now are at 88 miles an hour. They're virtually zero. He's smart enough, and he's got good enough stuff. If he throws that slider, if he throws that curveball, he can survive, but he's not looking to survive.
They're not into surviving.
Exactly.
Like Kershaw, Kobe, I think LeBron, when he eventually reaches a point where, no, really, you got to start thinking about this. These are guys that don't want to be carried. They don't want to feel like they're being carried by somebody else. Like maybe they're not obsessed with carrying everyone else, but they don't want to feel carried. And Kershaw would be in a position now where it starts becoming more important. How many people are you putting around him on a staff to offset the things that you know are going to happen with him?
He was the best pitcher on this team for the vast majority of the season. It's 6 months long. And even with the break that he had or to nurse the injury, it either wasn't long enough or it hasn't healed completely, and this is what it's going to be the rest of the way.
You know this as well as anybody. Pitching is murder on your body. Like your body is not supposed to be doing what he does every 5th day. You're not supposed to do that.
Appreciate what's left. Maybe he comes back for another year. Maybe he still has that burning desire to try it one more time. I hope so. I'm just saying, prepare yourself that this could be the last handful of regular season games and whatever we get from him in the postseason, because he's not going to let you know beforehand. He's just going to say, oh, by the way, I'm done. Hey, did you see? Coming up next, Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
It's Evan.
Only 8 games remain in the MLS regular season, and the Black and Gold have no time to waste as the battle for playoff position is heating up. LAFC! Saturday night, LAFC hit the road for a Western Conference clash in Portland, aiming for a crucial 3 points on the road.
Oh my goodness, Denise!
Los Angeles Football Club versus Portland Timbers. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday night at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
Travis and Sliwa, and it's time for the segment we do around this time, 10:40 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Hey, did you see that sky today?
Did you guys see that?
Basically, the days we don't do Ask Slee, we do this thing. It's called Hey, Did You See?
Did you see that? I thought I did it.
Did you see the memo about this?
I mean, I'm excited. You can tell by my read. Hey, did you see?
So hey, did you happen to see?
It's time for Hey, Did You See?
Hey, man, did you touch my drum set?
Have you read this?
Right now on Travis and Sliwa.
Jorge, did you see that Andy has done a complete 180 on Cletus, the football dancing robot?
Once I saw the name spelled out in front of me with CLEATUS, like I really saw it. I take it back. They're geniuses over at Fox. It's the perfect name for a football robot.
It's terrific. It's terrific. What do you got for us, Jorge?
All right, Foo. So did you see that Freddie Mercury's grand piano sold at an auction for $2.2 million over the weekend in an auction? This auction held 1,400 different artifacts from Freddie's collection, and this is the same piano where he composed Bohemian Rhapsody. So if you can own any piece of any instrument from any band, what would it be?
Prince's guitar. A guitar from Prince, probably the one that he played like in the movie Purple Rain, or maybe in some of the 1999 era videos. But Prince guitar, done deal. I don't even play. But that's what it would be.
I don't play any instrument, and I know that the question, Jorge, was about an instrument that I would want. The first thing that popped into my mind, like a piece of memorabilia from a famous musician, is I would want one of those Elvis jumpsuits from from Vegas, one of the sequin with the high collar that zips down to the mid navel. I just think that kind of gives a little bit of an Evel Knievel / Elvis vibe. I would love to have some sort of Elvis jumpsuit.
Spice up date night.
Yeah, just something to wear to work occasionally.
So I'll answer an instrument and also answer like an artifact kind of thing. So artifact, I would want the VMA that Taylor Swift received when Kanye interrupted
that's a good one.
That is a good one.
And she keeps it by her piano when she writes. It's like on her piano, just as a reminder. Again, she likes to invent that she has a lot of enemies, and
she's like an athlete.
She likes to drive her. She needs a driver.
How many people got drafted ahead of me? That's
exactly.
Taylor Swift.
That's exactly what she does. And then also, I would want a piano of hers. I don't know which one, but one of her pianos.
Do you play an instrument, Em?
I play clarinet, saxophone, and I know rudimentary piano.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jorge, what would you want?
A buddy of mine a couple of my buddies just went to Vegas. Not just went to Vegas. It was over like 2 months ago. They went to see Carlos Santana, and they said, "Man, that guy can still play."
I've seen him a couple times. He's phenomenal.
So I would want maybe one of his guitars.
Nobody wanted Britney's Python.
It's not really an instrument.
Yeah, I guess it's still around.
I mean, I don't know how long a python lives.
Also,
I bet a while.
Also yellow, I believe.
Yeah, it was. It was. I feel like they're apex predators. I bet they live a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I grew up playing drums, and I was pretty into it for a while. I think I was reasonably good for a while. Like, my all-time favorite drummer is Stuart Copeland from The Police. But, like, I think I would feel like a fraud playing his drums. So if I'm not going to play his drums, that's an awfully big thing to just have sitting around.
It takes up a lot of space.
Right, whereas Prince's guitar...
Hanging on a wall.
Exactly.
Much like Elvis's empty jumpsuit and the cobra skin. Look, not a cobra. Pythons shed their skin. Maybe I just get a skin.
Okay, no.
No, why not? They have them in museums.
You got to embalm that baby.
Hey, remember those Fat Elvis jumpsuits from Sons of Anarchy?
Mm-hmm.
One of those would be cool.
Bobby Elvis, yeah.
Exactly.
So they also had. So I don't know if you guys watched the Everything Ever All at Once movie. So they had an auction for all the different costumes. So one of the costumes is one of the characters wears an Elvis jumpsuit essentially, and that jumpsuit, I want to say, the one that was worn in the movie sold for $1 million plus. Because people are really again. I think the most expensive thing from that movie that was sold in that auction was the Raccoonie, which is the raccoon animatronic.
So great.
Yeah.
It's so good. That movie is really good.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Travis, I don't know if you would like it, but
I don't think we're ever going to find out.
I don't think you
I checked out of it, man. You're not.
Did you?
Yeah,
not my thing, Jorge?
It's multiversal, so I don't think you're.
I don't recommend it for you.
Yeah, they're going to jump from here to there.
Also, or unsold.
You guys remember the ArcLight right here in Hollywood?
Mm-hmm.
They used to. I used to work there. Like, I used to do some of the stuff there, and then they used to have those costumes laying around. Like, not laying in display cases and whatnot. Anyway,
get me an Elvis.
Exactly. All right, let me take you back to your childhood here. There's Pop-Tarts are still around, and that was a thing that I grew up with. They got a new flavor: chocolate chip pancakes. Tell me some of the things that you remember eating from your childhood. Like I mentioned, Pop-Tarts was one of those things you pop it in and you run out of the house. Somebody here in the office, I'm not going to mention who, San Francisco hat.
Yeah.
He eats them every day. I'm like, where's mine at?
Pop-Tarts?
Pop-Tarts.
The guy I have beef with.
Pop-Tarts.
So I was never a Pop-Tart guy. I mean, occasionally we'd get them, but I know exactly what you're talking about. The thing that still makes me feel like a 9-year-old on the very, very rare occasions I eat it, and I didn't get to eat it a lot as a kid. It was my parents occasionally would buy it. Was anything that was like a crazy sugary cereal. Like if you got your hands on a Fruit Loops or a Sugar Smacks or Apple Jacks or something like that. That was like crack to a kid. And my brother and I would take down the whole box in one sitting. That's the first thing I think of.
Sugar Smacks was that frog, right?
Yeah, dig them. See, these are the things that I know. These are the things that I dig them. And then they changed it to Honey Smacks to be healthy.
Right.
But didn't work.
Sugar Smacks. Any discerning parent is going to have at least some pause.
Dig 'em seemed fine. Yeah, it seemed like it was ready to go.
Yeah, dig 'em was fun.
What about you?
Okay, I never got super into sugary cereals. I'm not that into sweets. Like, we would occasionally have like the Sugar Smacks or stuff like that, but for the most part, that was never my thing. The biggest childhood specific thing that I can think about I specifically ate, I used to eat frozen Eggos.
Like not toasting them?
Yeah, not toasting them.
Why?
I liked frozen blueberry Eggos for some reason when I was younger.
That sounds terrible.
It probably was. I remember thinking they were great.
And then, girls, it looks like mold.
Yeah.
I knew what they were. And they were frozen. They were preserved.
I know what you think they were, that they were blueberries, but they were blue food coloring.
Ooh, yeah.
So I have one too. So toaster strudel was a big one for me. So you put it in there and you have little like icing on top of it. And then also my family was really big on like breakfast Hot Pockets. So it was like a egg, ham and cheese Hot Pocket or whatever. So I had those before school and like on the way to school. I don't think I've had it since.
I'd give that a spin. Breakfast Hot Pocket doesn't sound like the worst idea in the world.
You remember those cereal boxes used to have activities in the back, so you would be eating your
the
cereal and you would play the crossword
Absolutely.
puzzle. Oh man,
Dig 'em and Toucan Sam leading the way.
All right,
Toucan Sam was another one. He was on the Fruit Loops box.
All right, so yesterday Brenda shows me this video of an older man who's at a McDonald's line, and this older man, it's one of those stories where you pay it forward.
Okay.
So
Stop! I'm trying to do something.
Yeah. So this guy standing in the drive-thru lane, and then the person behind him is honking at him to hurry up and speed up his process. He gets to the first window and decides, you know what, I'm gonna pay for the person behind me. He does it, and then he pulls up to the next window where you get your food. So he says, give me the food and the person behind me's food, the food from the person behind
I've
me.
seen it.
And then he takes off, meaning you got to be patient.
Yeah.
Don't rush me. I just paid for your food. Now you got to get back in line and redo it all over again. So my question is, have you ever been in one of those lines where they pay forward, you get your coffee for free, or have you ever started one?
I've been in neither. I've definitely never been the recipient of a pay it forward. I've been in situations where somebody else in the line doesn't have their wallet or they're short or whatever. It said, I'll take care of that, but never with the explicit purpose of trying to start the chain of paying it forward. I don't know. Maybe I need to be on the other side of it to start, but only out of, and quite frankly, if I'm being perfectly honest, it's more like I'll pay for it. Just get that person out of line so I can get to my.
So you're paying it forward to yourself at that point.
I'm paying it forward to move the damn line.
You're kind of paying it backwards in a lot of ways.
Look, they get their coffee because I think I left my credit card in the car. I got it. Just get out of the line because I need to get mine.
Yeah, I don't recall ever being the recipient or the protagonist of the paying it forward chain. Never.
Em?
All right, so I have never received nor participated as a customer of a pay it forward, but when I worked at Chick-fil-A, especially during the holiday season, it's a lot of pay it forwards that I had to deal with.
How often would it happen?
So it'd be like once or twice a week.
Really?
So I'm in the drive-thru. It's very kind and very nice. It's just sometimes a little more work on us in the drive-thru because we have to, again, if someone stops the chain, if someone says, oh, I want to pay for this one behind me, and then that person, again, it gets to be sometimes where people are not always participating the same way, and so it just is a little bit of extra work for us. And so that's why, it was fine.
Did you ever say, you know what, can we just stop this entire charade and get back on track?
Well, they weren't paying it forward to you in this particular case.
And we could not receive tips or anything too, which is great, fun, love that. And then also again, when people had to go through the drive-thru and get 10 gift cards too was also super annoying. There's a lot of little things that it would annoy me a little bit.
But how would you know when they stop it? Because did you tell them, oh, this meal's
I would
comped?
say, oh, hey, the person in front of you paid for your meal, as part of a pay it forward. That's all I would say. I wouldn't even suggest, do you want to pay for the person behind you? They often would say yes or no. They would indicate what
I'd turn around. How many people are in that car back there?
Exactly. I mean, who wouldn't?
Who's riding solo?
Yeah, if they got a camper, I'm out. If there's that looks like a big family. If there's a minivan, I don't think that's going to work out. If it's just some guy who needs a chicken sandwich on his way home from work, I got him. But if you've got a whole back seat full of kids, thank you. Peace. See you later. That's exactly. All right. The voice of the Rams, JB Long, he's going to join us next. The Rams course open up on Sunday up in Seattle, and they're going to have to do it without Cooper Kupp. It's coming up. It's Travis Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN.
All right, when I think me, I think golf. Don't you? A couple of years ago, I challenged John Ireland.
Oh, that one sounded really good. Yeah, that one was better. Remember, full swing, hit the sand. We'll get there.
He kicked my ass. Now, for some reason, they put me into a par 3 challenge at the 10th annual ESPN LA golf tournament at Black Gold. It's me and the owner of the station, Sam, versus corporate Greg and John Ireland. God, Sam better play good this day.
This is the 19th hole at Black Gold Golf Club, the balcony overlooking 18. This is where it's going to be. The 19th hole party, Friday, September 8th, Black Gold Golf Club, right after the ESPN LA Golf Classic starts at 4 p.m. Our friends Tequila Mandala will be out here. Sunday Swagger, the San Pedro Fish Market. You don't want to miss this, Jack. Come on, don't be gutless. Be here to party with us. 4 p.m. till ? Friday, September 8th, the ESPN LA Golf Classic, the 19th hole party with Beto Duran, Scott Kaplan, Corporate Greg, Producer Lindsay, Producer Laura, and me. We'll see you here, Jack.
I don't
Great
know.
question.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
So again, I got a few texts there during the break. Got one from producer Laura. Got another one from my buddy Brian Beckner saying that they've both gotten the raw end of pay it forward situations where they got stuck in certain things. And Laura's talking about one that the order behind her was almost $70. At some point, you're getting you just showed up to get a burger and fries and a Coke, and the guy behind me is trying to buy enough food to feed his Little League team that I was here ready to spend $9, and now it's $75. That's like, man, I love the spirit of this thing, but I'm getting absolutely
I didn't come
here
here with the intention of buying around for the house, so to speak.
Exactly. All right, so the voice of the Rams, JB Long, joining us right now. JB, before we get into the Rams and Cooper Kupp and what's going to happen in Seattle, have you ever been on the good end of a pay it forward situation? Have you ever driven up somewhere and said that your meal was covered?
I have, actually. It's been a while, but man, that is one of the best ways to make someone's day. But I feel like then the onus is on you to then do the same for whoever's behind you, right? Isn't that standard protocol when you're fortunate enough?
I would think so. But did you take the like? Okay, what did the person behind me order? What did you get comped?
Yeah, as I recall, the only time it's ever happened to me is when I'm solo. Never when I've got like the family order, in tow.
JB Long, voice of the Rams, joining us right now. JB, so obviously we found out about Cooper Kupp, that he's not going to be able to go on Sunday. The big three, or however we want to characterize Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, and Cooper Kupp, is going to be the big two come Saturday or Sunday afternoon. It's obviously incredibly compromising for what they're doing offensively. How do you try to make up for the absence of a player as impactful as Cooper Kupp?
Yeah, great question. The good news is they've been doing it all summer, right? Because more often than not, Cooper Kupp hasn't been here throughout the offseason program or on the field during training camp. And so I think they're well prepared for it, as unfortunate as the circumstance is. Certainly relative to last year, I actually think these circumstances are more favorable offensively for the Rams. What I mean by that is better to have Tutu Atwell and Van Jefferson and DeMarcus Robinson and players like that, Ben Skoranek, having a lot of reps with Matthew Stafford, the quarterback, who's going to be throwing them the football, then the opposite, where maybe Cooper Kupp is good to go, but clearly the rest of the offense wasn't in sync with their quarterback, because last year it was Matthew Stafford who wasn't participating throughout the offseason program, and we saw the detrimental effects that had. So whether it's a deeper, more experienced receiving core, whether it's having, I think, 3 viable NFL tight ends to give you the option to play more 2 or even 3 tight end sets, I think the Rams are better equipped at the moment to deal with what is hopefully going to be a short-term Cooper Kupp absence.
I was just about to ask that, JB. Do you have any sense of how long the Rams think this could last, or if an IR stint could be happening?
I don't, Andy. It's good to hear from you, by the way.
Yeah, you
nice
as well,
to
man.
Connect with you, and thanks for making sure that Travis shows up. I thought he'd be at the driving range tuning up for his big opportunity tomorrow to rack up.
They're not
some
even letting me
bragging
play,
rights, but-
JB. I have to work. I don't
What?
even get to participate.
Oh, I thought it was the Travis Rogers Invitational. I thought they renamed the whole
We should
event.
put that together, by the way. You can be the MC.
I would like that. I think people would pay up to have spots in those foursomes. But, I think if the Rams had a concrete answer, we would have had a better sense ourselves by now. To answer your question, Andy, like the new information gathered this week in Minnesota, where Cooper Kupp went to see a specialist, I think is giving them more to chew on, more to decipher. If it was cut and dry and if it was a longer-term deal, I think you would have already put him on injured reserve. But if there's the opportunity for him to play in this initial gauntlet, whether it's as early as next week against San Francisco or maybe Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals, I think the pressure on this situation, if there is any, is that the Rams have to stay afloat through this initial 5-game stretch and certainly until their bye week, because I think there are some opportunities to be had later in the season if this young rookie class can grow up and grow into roles. But there's a lot of pressure in terms of if you're underwater by the time you have to make some organizational decisions and Cooper Kupp hasn't been able to impact your season, then that could be troubling.
JB Long, voice of the Rams, joining us. JB, not that he hasn't been the best player at his position, maybe the best player in football over the last several years, and of course I'm talking about Aaron Donald. But is this the most that's been on his plate coming into a season? And by that I mean just with the other 10 players and the relative experience level of those other players that he's going to be out there with. Is he going to have to do more from a leadership perspective and just a football perspective than he's ever had to do before this season?
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, and I know the coaching staff is trying to caution him not to take that all on his shoulders, right? Even though he seems to be the unique figure who can. But what's atop my mind this week as the Rams go back to where last season ended is that not Cooper Kupp, not Matthew Stafford, not even Aaron Donald played in that game. In fact, Aaron didn't play in either game against the Seahawks. None of those three players did. And yet the Rams were a play away from winning both and even taking the Seahawks to overtime when Seattle had everything to play for. And look, Geno Smith had a tremendous season. How can you not appreciate what he did last year individually and as a member of what was a playoff team? But the truth of the matter is he hasn't survived first contact with Aaron Donald yet. And no one has been more instrumental in tearing down that Legion of Boom dynasty and really chasing Russell Wilson out of the Pacific Northwest than Aaron Donald. And so a lot has changed on both sides of this rivalry. In fact, they're the top two teams in terms of roster turnover in the entire NFL. So I'm not sure how much we can lean on last year's results. But until Geno and until this offensive line has to cope with Aaron Donald in week one, I think it's fair to wonder, is Seattle really ready to go challenge San Francisco atop the NFC West?
JB, Travis and I were talking before the show about, if Kupp is going to be out for a while with everything he means to the Rams, you would love to see Cam Akers emerge as the second coming of Todd Gurley. Obviously, that's a huge ask, but how ready do you think he is to have a heavier load this season and have maybe the offense become a little more featured around him?
I think everything is working in Cam Akers' favor, and I think that's the right direction to go because of the way he finished last year, despite the circumstances around him not being favorable along the offensive line or at quarterback or with the rest of his skill group. I think the work that he's put in this offseason is evident. He's huge, and he's built in a very, very good way, and he's saying all the right things, too. Who among us would have expected Cam Akers to be the Rams' starting running back in 2023 at the midway point of last year? That was improbable at best. And yet here he is, I think, poised to have his first complete year as the Rams' starting running back. And when you see the work that this offensive line has put in, the way they've revamped their running game, their running scheme, their intention, their disposition, I do believe it's going to have really favorable results, and Cam Akers is going to be the primary beneficiary, though I also think Kyron Williams has grown into a true backup role and will complement him nicely.
GB, I know you talked a little bit about this towards the end of the final preseason game in Denver, and look, the Rams, there are power rankings before the season. There are numbers that come out during the preseason and roster strengths and weaknesses that everybody talks about leading into the beginning of the season. And the Rams, quite frankly, have been near the bottom of all of these things. But you mentioned that once everybody that is going to play starts to play, that all the noise surrounding this team, that they're getting ready to make a statement come Sunday afternoon in Seattle. Can Rams fans feel pretty confident about the fact that once that offensive line, those five guys are playing, once Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald and all the other guys that we talked about are out there, it's going to look at least similar to what we've become accustomed to seeing with this Rams team under Sean McVay?
Well, Trav, a couple of things. One, I thought we agreed off air never to mention Denver preseason 3 again. And so you violated that.
I apologize.
But I will allow it in this particular instance, in that when you look at the roster that took the field that night, and really when you look at the roster that took the field in Week 18 last year for the Rams in Seattle, what carryover is there to this particular moment in time? What bearing does that outcome, those reps, have on what's going to transpire Sunday? It's refreshing to me this time of year to be reminded that this league is built on parity, that every team is playing by the same rules with the same salary cap restrictions, the inverted draft order, and on and on and on. And when you look at Seattle's injury report, you realize that, hey, it's tough for the Rams to be without Cooper Kupp. Like, I could see why whatever subtle confidence might wane a little bit knowing that he's not going to be there for the opener. But, like, Devin Witherspoon, their top draft pick at corner, isn't going to play either, it sounds like, with a hamstring injury too. So it's nice to be reminded that other teams have concerns and problems as well, even though on paper, sure, it's fine for Seattle to be favored or to be picked ahead of the Los Angeles Rams. You give me McVay, Stafford, Donald, and let's line up and take our chances, because we know it's going to come down to 2 or 3 plays, because NFL games, and
Always
especially
does.
division rivalry games, typically do anyway.
My last question for you, JB. You just mentioned Aaron Donald, and assuming he's healthy, everybody knows what he's capable of doing, what he'll likely be. But there's a lot of questions about this defense. If the defense outperforms expectations, who's a name or two that you think fans should be watching for that probably had a big role in the mix?
That's an awesome question, and I will say, without Jalen Ramsey in this rivalry, it looks and feels different in terms of the matchups on the perimeter when you have to deal with Lockett and DK Metcalf. And everything else that Seattle will throw at you. But in terms of up-and-coming names that I think will be household names for the Rams on their defense and in the secondary sooner rather than later, all eyes have been focused on Trey Tomlinson, the rookie out of TCU, who I think had a great summer and close to his preseason. But for me, it's more about the year 2 players, guys like Jacoby Durant, who was sensational and limited opportunities last year. I think he will really ascend to an elite role in this secondary this year. And I think their safety group collectively has a chance to actually improve on last year. Russ Yeast was a starter in this game last year. We got introduced to Quentin Lake in this game last year. And then adding John Johnson back into the mix, I think it is really one of the most savvy things the Rams did this offseason. To have him and Jordan Fuller in the back end, I think gives the Rams a chance to be really strong down the middle of the field between Donald, Ernest Jones, and those players in the back. You get alignment and assignment right, let your speed and talent be on display. For sure, not much is thought of this Raheem Morris defense coming back in 23 without Jalen Ramsey, but I think if they can find some edge rush, there's reason to be bullish.
Rams All Access debuts tonight at 7 o'clock right here on 710. JB and DeMarco Farr will have that for you. And, of course, JB's on the call. Rams and Seahawks, 1:25 on Sunday afternoon. JB, I will talk to you Sunday morning, and I can't wait to get started all over again.
All right, Travis, Andy, you tell me which drive-thru you want to hit in downtown Los Angeles and what time I need to be one car in front of you, and I'll have my credit card ready this afternoon for lunch.
Deal.
That doesn't really feel like the spirit of the whole thing. It feels like everybody involved is not letting this happen organically.
Well, that could be a reflection of us. Thanks, JB.
That's what I'm saying. It is a reflection of you.
I know it is. All right, JB, as always, thank you very much. If you want to win a 4-pack of passes for a SoFi Stadium tour, it's unbelievable. If you haven't gotten to see behind the scenes at SoFi Stadium, it is truly remarkable. A behind-the-scenes experience in the ultimate sports and entertainment destination, exclusive access to SoFi Stadium's backstage spaces, iconic photo ops, field goal kicking, and more. Caller number 7 right now, 877-710-ESPN. That number again, 877-710-ESPN. You will win. Tours available daily at SoFiStadium.com/tours. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Caleb Williams kind of setting the table for him not going to certain teams. He spoke a little bit more about it yesterday. That's coming up next. It's Trav and Slee. Andy's in for Slee on 710 ESPN. Get it done. Grainger offers high-quality supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as access to product specialists who have the knowledge and experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
8 games remain in the MLS regular season, and the black and gold have no time to waste as the battle for playoff position is heating up. Saturday night, LAFC hit the road for a Western Conference clash in Portland, aiming for a crucial 3 points on the road.
Oh my goodness, Denise!
Los Angeles Football Club versus Portland Timbers. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday night at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
All right, when I think me, I think golf. Don't you? A couple of years ago, I challenged John Ireland.
Oh, that one sounded really good. Yeah, that one was better. You remember, full swing, hit the sand. We'll get there.
He kicked my ass. Now, for some reason, they put me into a par 3 challenge at the 10th annual ESPN LA golf tournament at Black Gold. It's me and the owner of the station, Sam, versus corporate Greg and John Ireland. God, Sam better play good this day.
Chart your own course. And of course, Dobell, the official tequila of the ESPN LA Golf Classic. Be sure to be listening all day Friday as we are live from the SoCal Hyundai ESPN LA Golf Classic right here on 710 ESPN.
Amazon?
Yeah. Good pull.
Yeah. That's the Amazon theme music. I don't think Al Michaels would know that.
His headset isn't on at this point in time.
Yeah, Al, by the way, Al got a bad rap last year. Oh, Al's not enthusiastic. You try to be enthusiastic about Colts Broncos. You try to find the silver lining in that.
Here's the thing. When you're Al Michaels, you don't need to know the network theme song.
No, you are the network.
Yeah, they need to know you. You don't need to know a thing about them.
We need Al to do good games. Because when Al is doing good games, that's pretty damn awesome. Pretty damn awesome. All right, so quick tweet before we move on. This goes back to our conversation about Clayton Kershaw. This is from Not Artie Moreno, who writes...
Sure.
Well, it's not Artie Moreno, right?
Sure.
Not Artie Moreno says, where did it go? It's not the end of the line for Kershaw. I'm willing to pay him $30 million for 5 years. You know how I roll. That's very funny, A. But B, Kershaw would not take Artie's money in that situation. I know most 95, 98% of people would say, you want to give me $30 million 5 times over the next 5 years? I'll take your money and I'll pull an Anthony Rendon and play twice a year. Kershaw's not one of those guys.
He's not one of those guys, and I think he'd ultimately turn it down. I refuse to believe, because he is a human being, that he doesn't at least consider it for 5 minutes. It's $150 million.
Honey, we don't have to move. I'm going to be on the IL a lot.
You're going to see me more than if I...
I don't even have to pretend that we're going to be in the playoffs at any point. That by the time we're to the 4th of July, we're out of it every year. I'll see you for the entire... By the time school starts, I'll be here every day.
Yeah.
Again, sounds like a good gig.
I agree that he would say no, there is no way that he doesn't at least consider the pros and cons, the cons of which there are way more than pros.
Why not, right? It's also, what's that, 300 million? No, 150 million.
It's 150 million.
Yeah.
You have to at least think about it.
I mean, I would. You would.
Yes.
But Clayton Kershaw's got what in the bank? 300 million, give or take?
How many billionaires do we see commit corporate crimes out of greed?
Yeah, but you'd have to be on the Angels. Like if you were going to commit a corporate crime, but you also have to be a Halo for 9 months, that's not great.
Again, he says no, but there's no way he doesn't at least give it 5 minutes of thought.
I think when you were here last week, we touched on this a little bit. The idea about Caleb Williams being able to, at least to some degree, manipulate where he lands in the NFL because he's making a nice chunk of change in NIL money at SC, because he has an additional year of eligibility at SC, at least theoretically, to come back. And he doesn't have to just say, well, okay, I'm going to be the first pick in the draft. The Arizona Cardinals pick me. I'm going to go there. GQ had an article that quoted his father that basically said, listen, if we don't like the situation, there's a world that exists where he goes back to play at USC all over again. Caleb Williams himself was asked about that yesterday. Here's what he said.
We got Stanford this week, and that's what I'll be worrying about. Game's 3 days out, and so it's the main focus, main goal is to go out there and win versus Stanford, and not let my teammates down out there on Saturday. So that would be the answer to all of those questions for the NFL. I have 10 more games left here that I'm given, and then we're working for the last 3. So that'll be the answer for all of that. But next question, please.
So very artfully, I'm not going to give you what you want, but it's also not my dad was talking out of school.
No.
It was a very well done of, you guys know what this is all about. You know what game we're playing.
Yeah, first of all, he sounded confident while he was doing that.
Yes.
He didn't sound rattled while he was doing that. It gives you the impression that he was aware his father would say these sort of things as opposed to his father blindsiding him. He didn't seem like he's like, oh, my God, like,
Dad, come on, buddy.
Don't do this to me.
Right.
What I think is
interesting. Another quarterback in Los Angeles.
Right.
Yeah, he sounded like somebody perfectly aware that his dad would say this stuff in GQ. They probably talked about it ahead of time. He's like, it's fine. I know how to deflect these questions. As long as I keep playing well, it's not a thing. He does have the leverage. I think he absolutely does for all the reasons that you talked about, because he's got economic resources. The two things, though, that I do think makes it tricky, if he goes back to SC, he could get hurt. And he would be economically set through either insurance or the money he's already made, but it could jeopardize his dream of actually playing football in the NFL. And that does matter. Like, we sometimes look at this stuff all through the prism of the money. He loves football. He actually wants to play football. So there is a risk there. The other thing, though, is you can rig the game, or you can
tilt it.
You can attempt to tilt the game, rig it, and sometimes it comes out okay. But the odds are against you, because the teams that you are looking to avoid this year, theoretically, if you went back to SC, many of them are the same teams you'd be looking to avoid next year. Yeah. So, especially like the Arizona Cardinals, for example, if they don't get Caleb Williams in this draft, chances are they could be in a position to get him next year.
There is that. But I think that instead of avoiding a specific team or two, it's more of an idea of I can at least try to buy a little more time until a team that, and look, let's just use them as an example because it's local and because it makes sense. The Rams, there's a path that's not hard to see where the Rams are picking in the top 5 in the draft, okay?
It's harder to picture them not.
I agree. And this is a team that functions, that has a great coach, that has a good executive, that has an owner that spends money, that
won the Super Bowl 2 years
won
ago.
The Super Bowl 2 years from Kroenke to Demoff to Les Snead to
Dude,
McVay.
Kroenke's teams win.
Right on down the line. Everybody knows what they're doing. They have to pay their bill. And it's time, and they're in that spot all of a sudden to go to a team like Arizona, to go to a team like Carolina or Tampa or whoever may be ahead of them at any given point and say, listen, we will not play for you. We do not want to do this. We're willing to go back in, or they could move back just a couple of spots, probably get a couple of more picks in the process. It kind of works out for everybody. Now, you can't kick the can down the road forever. You could do something like, I will never play for that team. Arizona is a good example because you look at some of these things, and I'm not saying that these guys would have been successful other places, but I'm saying their odds of success were much, much lower. If you're Sam Darnold, you're picked by the Jets. Good luck with that. You're Baker Mayfield, you're picked by the Browns. Good luck with that. You're Josh Rosen, picked by the Cardinals. Good luck with that. Whereas Lamar Jackson slides a little bit further down, and maybe Lamar would have been great anywhere. He lands with the Ravens.
He slid really far.
He fell all the way down to the back of the first round. But my point is, fit, coaching, ownership, structure, it matters so much. And these guys, for the first time in a really long time, maybe it's not Caleb Williams, maybe it's somebody else saying, you guys suck. And it's not like you suck because you don't have a left tackle. It suck because you suck. And I'm never going to play with you. I'd rather not play than go get my brains beat out with you. So get something for me instead of nothing. Because if you pick me, I'm not coming.
What about the gods, Travis, though? You might upset like the football gods.
Football gods are far less vengeful than the baseball ones. The baseball ones are the ones that have a mean edge.
But also there's another thing. Okay, so before Joe Burrow went to Cincinnati was a trash franchise. Yeah. And still, so Joe Burrow is great. The team is great. They have a good coach. Their organization, their ownership does not spend the money where they need to spend the money. They are a cheap organization. So the organization might not be the most pristine, but they're going to the Super Bowl. They're winning a bunch of games. Maybe that could be what the Cardinals could be with Caleb Williams.
There are a handful of examples of them turning it around, and maybe it'll work for a while. I would like to see what happens to the the Bengals when it's time to pay everybody else.
Let me speak as a Cardinals fan, somebody who grew up a massive fan of the then St. Louis Cardinals, now Arizona Cardinals. In the last few years, after missing them, getting nostalgic for reasons that only happen because of fandom, because fandom can make you totally illogical.
Sure.
I readopted them. The Bidwells are terrible at this. They've been terrible at this generationally. I'm a Cardinals fan, but if I was a player, I'd never want to get drafted by them, if I'm being totally honest, and I'm a fan of the team.
Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to flex their muscles. And whether it's because they have an option for – Kyler Murray could have done it. Kyler Murray was the 5th pick in the draft in Major League Baseball. He's that freaky of an athlete. You need to have plan B. It could be, I'm going to go play baseball. I'm going to go do something else. Or, hey, man, I made $20 million in college. I don't have to take
his
your money.
Plan B is, I've already made money. I've got one more year of eligibility. Again, he could find himself in just the exact same spot, at which point you have to start going scorched earth. I won't play with you.
Yeah.
I might play with this crappy organization, but I will not play with your crappy organization. Your crappy organization is where I draw the line.
A good example would be the Commanders. And the Commanders aren't going to be near, but it's, okay, Snyder's gone. Let's at least see what's next, right? Because with a new guy, you don't know that it's going to be good, but you know at least it's not Daniel Snyder, that you can move on from that. I think you're going to see guys be more and more strategic, and great. Look, get your blank together if you want to be able to pick these guys. I don't want to see really good players or potentially good players go into the abyss of these organizations that maybe once every 20 years they're competitive because they luck into it.
You say the abyss, again, with the Cardinals, as somebody who followed them going back decades. They have always been this poorly run. Like I think they were in St. Louis 3 or 4 decades. They made the playoffs like 3 times. They never hosted a playoff game.
It's not very good.
Yeah, I mean they
went to a Super Bowl, 2010?
They did, but they got very, very lucky. They lucked into Kurt Warner, who was on his way out of the league at that point.
He'd been terrible with New York.
He'd been bad with New York. They drafted Eli Manning. They moved on from him. They drafted Matt Leinart, who didn't work, and then the next thing you know, he's back. They happen to have Larry Fitzgerald, who's a Hall of Fame player, but
they built nothing
together.
off it. They didn't build anything.
It was a
off
one
that.
and done, and that's, I think, Burrow's great. Jamar Chase is great. All these guys are good. Boyd is great. But that could be the Bengals.
They made the AFC Championship game last year.
Okay, that's 2 years, right? These guys' careers can last 10, 12, 15 years. I think Joe Burrow's great. I think he could have but he could be as great as he wants. If everything around him is lousy, it doesn't matter. And they don't, to your point, Em, They don't pay people. They very quickly, we'll find another one. You're not finding another Jamar Chase. Those guys don't exist. If you don't take care of them, they're going to go somewhere else. And now Joe Burrow's looking around like, what happened to Joe Burrow? Nothing.
Well, if
it's
nothing,
just my good players went other places.
If nothing else with Cincinnati, as historically inept as they've been in the last couple decades, they've at least have pockets of success where you look at it and say, I don't know how they managed to make this happen, but for 5 years they were good.
Quarterbacks.
Sure.
Carson Palmer, Joe Burrow, Boomer Esiason, when they have the quarterback.
Andy Dalton.
But Andy Dalton, when the second the quarterback is not where it's supposed to be, they move. They're
When it's
right
John
back to
Kitna.
where they were. When it's John Kitna and God knows who, Achilles Smith. These are the guys that they get. Factor Cap coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN.
Only 8 games remain in the MLS regular season, and the black and gold have no time to waste as the battle for playoff position is heating up. LAFC! Saturday night, LAFC hit the road for a Western Conference clash in Portland, aiming for a crucial 3 points on the road.
Oh my goodness, Denise!
Los Angeles Football Club versus Portland Timbers. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday night at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
All right, when I think me, I think golf. Don't you? A couple of years ago, I challenged John Ireland.
Oh, that one sounded really good. Yeah, that one was better. Remember, full swing, hit the sand. We'll get there.
He kicked my ass. Now, for some reason, they put me into a par 3 challenge at the 10th annual ESPN LA golf tournament at Black Gold. It's me and the owner of the station, Sam, versus Corporate Greg and John Ireland. God, Sam better play good this day.
Dad.
Everything I've said is a cap, but I'm going to go back.
First of all, it's not a cap. It's
No, it
just
is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Roar!
Roars!
I don't appreciate, Jorge, you setting that little cub learning how to roar in their
we'll
group
play for
chat.
you.
I sounded nothing like that, okay? I sound much
Emily,
more
you
menacing.
sound more like it than you want to admit.
You know what? I actually like Emily's more now.
It's so soothing.
I know. I loved yours, Andy. It was great, but I love that Emily.
I could listen to Emily's roar all day.
Roars!
If you heard that come from under your bed when you were going to sleep at night, you'd be like, okay, you'd fall asleep. Like you wouldn't be like, I got to go check
It'd be like
and see
a
what's going
little
on.
giggle and just
This is for what was the roar origin story again? It was for that one read for
the golf read. That was so good.
It was a golf read. They were supposed to be.
Oh, Genesis Invitational.
Yeah,
because it says
there
roars
was
the
a
crowd.
note in there like roar from
In
the crowd.
parentheses.
Like roars, which I thought was supposed to be a sound effect.
Oh.
It doesn't come. So then I'm like, okay, am I supposed to do the sound effect? So I just read it.
They said the crowd roars. He's like, the crowd roars.
And then you want something funny at the All-Star softball game? Somebody asked them to do the roars for them.
Oh, not just someone.
Someone's.
Multiple people asked me to
that.
do the roar.
All right, so
Hi, Emily.
it's not me. Come on. All right,
Pretty
so
close.
today is the opening of NFL on for the season. Anyway, sorry, I got confused by the roars. Okay, so Buffalo.
It happens.
It's confusing.
So I'm going to go to watch the game with my friends tonight. We're making lasagna and some other, accoutrements that are related to lasagna. It's not necessarily football food, but it's not football food. Anything good you can eat with.
What is accoutrement related to lasagna?
Garlic bread,
Okay,
Parmesan, salad.
No, that all sounds great.
Absolutely
Red
true.
wine.
Yeah, text us the address.
Sounds pretty good.
All right, but I got to be thinking, Buffalo chicken dip is the best football side. Travis, Petrocap.
It's pretty good. No, I think it's Cap. I like it, but it's super, super heavy, so I don't know how much of it you can have. Just like chips and salsa or chips and guacamole, I think is a better option because Buffalo chicken dip, don't get me wrong, I will eat it, but it's so heavy and rich, you can't eat a lot of it. If we're doing a football day, that's a 10-hour day. I can't be going for Buffalo chicken dip for 10 hours.
Berg?
Cap, because I will not eat buffalo chicken dip. Because
You don't like it?
We've gone through this, Travis. I
haven't heard this.
cannot handle spice.
That is...
It's not spicy. It's buffalo
I
chicken.
cannot do
That
anything
mild of a
buffalo.
spice?
Yes.
Oh, my.
We've gone through this. Jorge knows. Pico de gallo. That's the top.
Not the same story.
Wow. That is as far as I go. Yeah,
it
is
tomatoes and onions and a little bit of jalapeno.
The
but
little
it's been
bit,
de-seeded.
It's the little bit of
Serrano.
jalapeno.
You put Serrano instead of jalapeno.
Yeah.
Now that's different.
No, it's sour cream and onion. Sour cream and onion with some ruffles. That is the best way to go.
Okay, Andy?
Yeah, I'm also going Cap. That's not one of my favorite. I would rather have buffalo sauce that you toss the actual wings in than
smell it.
Buffalo sauce as an actual dip. I don't love it as much as a dip, as much as a flavor. As far as the dip itself goes, I think guacamole is the best because you can put it with everything. There's nothing guacamole doesn't go with.
It's a character flaw of mine. I do not love guacamole. I do not love
I'm out.
avocados.
Jorge's leaving. Bye, Jorge.
Hey,
But
I
this
think
tracks.
I think
This
I might be
tracks.
allergic
No,
because I always have
avocados?
I always have a weird feeling in my mouth after I have avocados. So it might just be that I'm allergic.
Okay, then acceptable if it's an allergy.
It's also, if it's in a sandwich, it leaks out.
Let's move on.
As opposed to all other
Andy,
condiments.
we've been over this. Oh, you weren't here for
It's
yesterday.
more slippery than others.
Chips and walk is the best.
Yes,
There.
it is. Let's
It
just-
is.
All
Yes,
right.
next
So-
one.
That's a good one.
We were talking about Andy Reid earlier. Andy Reid will be one of the coaches on the sideline tonight. So Andy Reid is the football coach you would most want to get dinner with. Berg, Patrick Cap.
Ooh. Fact. I think Andy Reid is incredibly interesting.
And again, you get truth serum. You can
Yeah.
ask them
Yeah,
anything they want, and they were answered
Yeah.
correctly.
He has stories for days. He's a personal person. I'm all in on that.
Andy?
He's a strong choice. Andy Reid is a really strong choice. You know he's going to pick a great place to eat. You know he's going to do a lot
You're
of
going to get good wine.
Yeah,
They're gonna know him.
He's going to do a lot of ordering for the table, so to speak.
For the
table.
Great stories. I think McVay could be really good.
McVay be good.
He seems like a foodie. He's a great talker, and he's somebody that can talk about.
He talks really fast.
He does talk really fast.
But he talks
He'd
about
open up.
He talks about a wide variety of stuff. Another guy I think would be a great dinner host among football coaches, Pete Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Carroll, I think, would be fantastic. Seems like another guy who knows his way around a restaurant.
Trev?
Those are all really good answers, and I think it's fact. I think Andy Reid is the correct answer because Andy Reid would know the food as well as Andy Reid seems like a pretty gregarious, fun guy. Andy Reid, I'm sure, has an endless amount of stories, so this is why he's the right answer.
You're laughing the whole time.
They're laughing the whole time. But if you just wanted to get weird for a night and get the truth serum that we're talking about, it's Belichick.
Yep.
Because Belichick probably has some really dark things that he'd like to get off his chest.
But that's the thing. It's
you'd
gonna be
leave
tough.
horrified,
Well,
but
you
it
could
would
ask
be
about
interesting.
Aaron Hernandez.
You could ask a lot of things.
God,
if we're getting
I
the
don't know if I wanna
skinny
know that.
from somebody,
Is there
it's
sodium
Belichick.
pentothal involved
Yes,
with this dinner? Like he has to take the shot?
This is whatever you ask, you're getting the answer. His real
It'd be so monotone and you'd be heavy.
Berg, think about
You get
all
great
the stuff
stories.
that he's been around for. It wouldn't be a lot of fun. It would probably keep you up for weeks on end.
Yeah, you're
trying
not
to
sleeping
sort
that
through
night.
what you now know. Like
going
you're
to
looking
therapy
over your
right
shoulder
after.
for the rest of your life that somebody's going to come get you. But Belichick is the 1A. I think Andy Reid's the right choice.
Dan Campbell would be interesting.
Oh, Andy Reid, yes. We'll have everything in like every course. We have the appetizers. We have everything, and he'll recommend a good cheeseburger. That's his thing, right?
You'd have a great meal with Andy Reid.
Yes.
Yeah, as well as have probably a good time.
For sure.
And again, he probably has cool stories too, and more to him than we.
If you're looking to laugh and clink glasses and have a great time, it's Andy Reid. If you're looking to be horrified, it's Bill Belichick.
Rex Ryan back in the day would have been.
Rex Ryan would be a great choice to hang out with.
Dan Campbell.
No.
Yeah. Dan Campbell would be fun.
Yeah. We're gonna eat these tortilla chips and we're gonna stuff them down your throat if you don't finish them. And how dare you not order the banana split first?
He's the guy pouring the wine. He's like, yo, open the mouth.
It's all raw meat.
Please cut that, Jorge, please.
Eat the raw poultry.
All right, so we've all been to live football games, in a stadium, watching an NFL game, watching a college football game. So football is the only sport that's better on TV than in person. Jorge, fact or cap?
Fact. Better on TV than in person? Yes, because you get.
But that's the only one.
Yeah, because you get different angles. You get, for sure. Fact.
Okay, unpopular opinion. The only sport that's better in person is hockey. Everything else is better on TV. They're still fun to go to games, but you get to see all the replays. You're in the comfort of your own home. You got your own food. You got your own beer. There's no lines. It's clean. It's easy. There's no traffic. I love going to games, but it's a lot of work. Watching these games from your home is better every single time, with the exception of hockey, where hockey on TV is not great. Hockey in person is unreal.
Berg?
The same thing. It's hockey, but it's also soccer. Like going to LAFC games is so much better than watching that on TV. And football's slow when you're there. It's incredibly slow. This is a 3.5-hour game, and there's not a lot going on. There's a lot of downtime. No, yeah, so you're right on that. It is one of them, but hockey and soccer are better live.
I mean, take it a step further. You were talking about presumably NFL football being slow. College football,
it's
endless.
Like that is
TV timeouts are out of control.
There's a big reason beyond just the age demographic we're talking about that everybody's so hammered in the stands. It's because it takes forever. If you were sober, you would leave. You'd get bored. It takes so long for a college game to wrap the hell up.
And their replays take longer. The official huddles take. Everything about it is slow.
He's the guy pouring the wine. He's like, yo, open the mouth. It's true. That's the guy he is.
All right, I got one more for you guys. So Pat McAfee made his ESPN debut today on his ESPN show. And he loves to wear a tank top during his show. It's essentially his go-to outfit. It's a variety of
his signature.
It's his only outfit.
It's a uniform.
Yes. So, you don't know the last time that you rocked a tank top. Travis, fact or cap?
Fact, I know exactly when the last time I wore a tank top was.
This morning.
Never.
Never?
I've never
in your
had
own home?
Never.
Can you picture Travis in a tank top?
No.
Exactly.
I've literally never worn one in my entire life.
High school, you didn't wear one?
No.
All right, Berg?
Yeah, it was probably about 3 years ago on 4th of July, and I had like a American flag tank top.
Yeah. Andy?
You gotta be
America.
Patriotic.
America. You don't have to
America.
Roar. Oh, yeah.
The last time I think this actually is the last time I ever wore a tank top anywhere outside of a home, like my place.
Right.
I was in a play. I was with my improv group. We were doing.
Oh, you're doing your IPA stage.
No, we were doing stage. We used to do. You would have loved actually this troop, Emily.
Sure.
You would have had a lot of fun. We used to do stage parodies of movies.
Love that.
And we were doing Less Than Zero, and my character, who was like the drug lord's enforcer, he used to wear a tank top in the movie. So that's where I was wearing a tank top. And one of the reviews noted that I know how to fill out a tank top.
Oh, wow. That made me feel pretty good.
Quite the ego boost.
I was going to say.
More Jason Statham from you, huh?
Yeah. Seriously. It was like late 90s. I still remember that review.
You'll never forget.
Did you have the hair at that point, too?
It was a good look.
You had some good hair.
I had some great hair.
The first time you showed me a picture of you with your full head of hair, if you would have just said, do you know who this is? I never would have gotten it.
My hair prime was great.
It was good. Good head of hair.
Yeah, no, I wear them all the time. I have a bunch of soccer team ones. I have Chelsea ones, Manchester United ones, and then my favorite one is the one that Brenda and Maite got me for Christmas. It's a Moana one that says "You're welcome" on it from Disneyland.
Aww.
So
Nice.
I wear tank tops all the time.
If I look like you, I would wear a tank top, but I don't, so I don't. Right?
I like tank tops. Every once in a while.
They're fine, unless you got some stuff going on, and then it's not so fine.
Just be comfortable with yourself.
I'm not.
Travis.
Right, look, you can tell me that all you want. The bottom line is, I absolutely
You
am
have
not.
to feel comfortable to wear a tank top.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that ship sailed a long, long time ago. Lakers had Christian Wood. Did the Lakers have the best offseason in the NBA? It's coming up next. It's Trav and Slee. Andy's in for Slee, 710 ESPN. If you're hurt in an accident, you need to know that not all personal injury attorneys are the same. You need to know that because they're just not. Sweet James, though, Sweet James has been awarded Best Attorneys in America, and personal injury, it's all that they do. Their success is driven by their passion to help their clients. And where does the passion come from? Sweet James used to work for the insurance companies. He saw how they interact with their clients, and you pay that insurance bill every month, every quarter, whatever it is. You give them a lot of money, and when it comes time for them to help you, that's not how it goes. That's why Sweet James makes sure that the insurance company doesn't take advantage of you. You do not want to take on the insurance company by yourself. You want a firm like Sweet James that has experience, nearly 20 years, a winning record helping injured victims get the medical care needed with life-changing settlements. He's collected over $1 billion in that nearly 20-year career. Think about that, right? He's collecting more in a year than most firms do in their entire life. So if you're hurt in an accident, do what I've done. Car accident, motorcycle accident, truck accident. If you are hurt in an accident, call Sweet James at 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-9-MILLION. 1-800-900-0000. And, of course, online at sweetjames.com. See, now when you hear this, Andy, you're going to know that this is where Cletus comes on and begins his dancing.
Also, we can't debate. This is the best one.
It is. It's good.
immediately identifiable. You're like,
They
let's
all are.
go.
They all are.
I know. I don't know. It just makes me. I don't know what it is about football media. It just makes me so nostalgic, but it also makes me so excited. I don't know. I love football.
It's the only sport where if your team isn't playing, it doesn't matter even a little bit. It's better when your team is playing, but I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not a Lions fan. I'm 100% going to watch this game tonight. Yeah. Like if the baseball season
also every minute of the game.
Of course. If the baseball season opened with the Detroit Tigers and the Kansas City Royals, I don't give a damn. If it opened with the Pistons and the Oklahoma City Thunder, I don't care. I don't want to see that. I'm waiting for a Dodger game to come on. I'm waiting to see Shohei or whatever it is. Only the NFL is. I just want to see it because it's the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference between the NFL and all other sports in America is football is a cultural event.
Yes.
Like these other sports are all really big deals and they're all really fun, really entertaining. You may even like the other ones more than the NFL. The NFL is the only one that feels like cultural event.
It's everything. It's the only sport, no matter what, if it has that shield on it, if it has some association with the draft, the combine, the Pro Bowl, the Hard Knocks, we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or anywhere in between. We're going to watch it. The second biggest NFL event of the year, that's not even football. It's guys getting picked and walking up in suits.
Go play football eventually.
Yeah, eventually, right? But they're not going to play football for 9 months after they get picked or whatever the number is.
Is this the only song Dan Campbell listens to?
Honestly,
his playlist consists of only this.
Yes. So not that I have this before where I have worked out to football intro music like this
kind of stuff.
Yeah, like
that
there's
is
a
amazing.
playlist
That's
on
awesome.
Spotify, and it does get you in a mood. You're like, I'm just gonna go run through a brick wall. Let's go.
It's
like pulls up to the elliptical.
Yeah, I love football.
I'm more in an NBC mood today. Hit the Thursday night football, dude. The Saturday, Sunday night football. All right, the 10th annual
NFL teams.
Okay, primo, y está aquí.
Es el equipo de Maryland. Baltimore Ravens.
I think I got it. I got it.
How Latinos pronounce NFL teams.
Okay, primo, y está aquí.
Es el equipo de Maryland. Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. Tonight it's the Lions and Chiefs and the unstoppable Dan Campbell. The Leons. Yes,
the Leones.
Indeed. It's the 10th annual SoCal Hyundai ESPN LA Golf Classic presented by Coors Light and Hollywood Park Casino. That is tomorrow at Black Gold Golf Club in Yorba Linda. Driven by your Southern California Hyundai dealers, it's your journey. Own every mile in a brand new Hyundai. The Lakers have added this offseason Christian Wood most recently, Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes, Torian Prince, and they've re-signed Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves.
And D'Angelo
Russell. Thank you. They were one of the 4 best teams in the league last year by being in the Final Four, right? The Western Conference Finals. Did one of the teams that was already near the top of the stack have the best offseason in the whole league? Because all of these guys are not just, they all kind of fit a very specific role. There's a lot of depth here. And it just seems that quietly, because there's not a big name in the group, that the Lakers had the best offseason of all 30 teams in the league.
Well, it's also quiet because there was no drama. Mm-hmm. And we're so used to the Lakers always having some type of drama around them. Even when things are going well, you're used to it just being dramatic because that's the franchise that they are. It has felt more quiet. In certain respects, too, I think it was the offseason people expected, unless they decided to just do the star bleepery thing, clear the decks, go for Kyrie. But even then, that was really their only option for star bleepery.
Right.
It was either Kyrie or nothing. It would have been the worst choice, but it was really the only choice to go that route. But to answer your question, I can't think of a team that had a definitively better offseason than the Lakers. If you want to argue about a different team, okay, depending on what your argument is. I can't think of anyone that you look at. I'm looking at the list of all 30 teams right now. There's nobody that I look at and say they definitively had a better offseason than the Lakers.
And maybe it's just personality-based for me, but look, if it's a LeBron or an Anthony Davis, that's different. But those other ones where, hey, who's the biggest name? We have enough money to fit that big name in here. Let's go do it. I don't like that. I like this so much more where, hey, let's find somebody that complements what we already do well or fixes a hole where maybe we have a deficiency, and let's have a couple of guys that can maybe do this. So if one hits, the other one doesn't, we're still in a really good spot. This is a team-building offseason as opposed to a win-the-media cycle offseason.
Well,
this is far more important.
Because of self-imposed constrictions that came from trading for Russell Westbrook a couple of years ago, Rob Pelinka was forced for a couple years to go largely the veterans minimum route for filling out the roster. The first of the 2 Russell Westbrook years, he went largely veterans way past their prime.
Well, Rondo and Carmelo and Dwight Howard and the likes.
And, other than Austin Reeves being a surprise, and I think Melo having a reasonably good season, most of those guys didn't work out at all. Last year, I think Pelinka did about as well as he could have reasonably been expected, like in terms of, other than Bruce Brown, Lonnie Walker was as good as any mid-level guy, I think, that got signed last year. Bruce Brown would have been a better choice, but Lonnie was about as good as anyone, and about half their veterans minimum guys played reasonably well. That is as good as you can expect for veterans minimum guys. This year, though, the vet min guys that they have are either Christian Wood, who is only a veterans minimum guy because there's questions about his attitude more than anything else. The attitude, I think, in part leads to the defensive questions. But nobody questions his talent, and he's not a guy that's 5 years past his prime. He's in his prime. Everyone knows he can score. It's just about, can you keep him focused and team-centric? Other than that, it's Cam Reddish and Jackson Hayes, who, if the whole team stays healthy, they may not even play. They may not even matter.
Well, that's what I think is interesting is, and maybe this is just having seen what they did last season, where they had a team that was not very good, and then they changed it dramatically towards the end, and they were quite good. And then it changed just, overnight almost. Not that they're going to completely flip the roster the way that they did last year, but am I wrong, Andy, when I look at this? It's like we're going to go play an 82-game regular season, and we're going to play it kind of one way with these guys that we're talking about, whether it's Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood, Jackson Hayes, and we're going to mix and match. We're going to give Anthony Davis some time off. We're going to give LeBron some time off. Maybe not necessarily on you're not playing tonight, but really kind of manage the minutes more aggressively for those guys. And then when you get either down the stretch and you're jockeying for maybe a particular seed, or more specifically, when you get into the playoffs, that a lot of the guys that got us to this point will start playing a lot less because we're going to lean heavily on the more important guys, for lack of a better word, the LeBrons, the Anthony Davises, and instead of you guys playing 80% of the time, it's going to go full 100, and that other 20% comes from these guys that got us to there in the first place.
I mean, it's typical of what happens in the playoffs anyway. Rotations tend to go down because the minutes become more high leverage. You can't afford mistakes. They've got some guys that can help you eat some innings. And my hope is that, particularly with the front court depth, now that you have Christian Wood, Taurean Prince, Rui Hachimura retained, and then Vanderbilt, who, by the way, today Jared Vanderbilt becomes extension eligible.
Think they'll do that?
It's a tricky question because I think he has utility on this team, and I think if you sign him to a reasonable number, he's good to have just as a tradable contract, because Jared Vanderbilt is somebody that he's an NBA player. He may not be able to do certain things you need. Offensively, he's got in particular limitations, but he's a good perimeter defender. He's a good rebounder. He hustles. He plays really hard, good attitude, all that stuff. And then also with some of the ball handlers that you have in Gabe Vincent and D'Lo and Reeves, my hope is that you can just start reducing LeBron and AD's minutes, 3 to 4 minutes a game. That adds up.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, because I think sitting guys or, giving them finger quote load management games for things that are non-specific, the West is too difficult. Like, I don't know if you can do that and finish in the top 6.
Well, you've seen what the Clippers have done with that, and that hasn't worked out at all. You got to play.
Ty Lewis said in so many words, we got to stop screwing around in the regular season.
This is not a perfect comparison, but what Mike Tomlin said, if you're going to fight, you got to spar a little bit, right? And if the playoffs are the fight, you got to spar during the regular season. You can't skip it and just pretend it's completely meaningless. And not that the Lakers did that, but I think you're going to see a different approach depending on health, obviously. Mascot draft, and looky here, who's got the first pick? That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
8 games remain in the MLS regular season, and the black and gold have no time to waste as the battle for playoff position is heating up. Saturday night, LAFC hit the road for a Western Conference clash in Portland, aiming for a crucial 3 points on the road.
Oh my goodness, Denise!
Los Angeles Football Club versus Portland Timbers. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday night at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
Our snake draft of the week. We're going to do our snake draft of mascots. And so, the person who loved mascots the most, who had one of a long monologue about mascots, is one Mike Leach. And so, in memory of him, we're going to play one of his monologues about mascots.
First of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We got to consider that. I'm going to say the Wildcat's out. The Trojan, does he have a horse or is he on foot? Does he have a bow and arrow or just his sword? The Bruin, definitely formidable. Another bear up there, cow. The tree, I imagine that tree's going to get chopped down. Unless we're going to go with the bird and somebody might get pecked or something. I don't know. The duck might lose interest and just fly away and get out of there, which may be good advice under the circumstances. The husky, no chance. The beaver... Well, we'll see how long that beaver can hold his breath. The Ute, again, we're back to, is he on horseback? Does he have a bow and arrow? Did he trade for a rifle? I mean, because if that Ute's got a rifle, there's some definite problems. You'd have to get one of those Harry Potter activists to read up on how you kill a Sun Devil, because there's a lot of outside stuff there. Just as far as a beast alone, a buffalo's going to be pretty hard to tangle with. I mean, a buffalo's utterly outstanding. Did I leave any of them out? The Coug will find a way. Clear-minded and crafty, a combination of stay out of harm's way and attack when you get your chances or your openings.
We miss you, Mike Leach.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's another college football coach that could even come within 100 miles of being that entertaining on something like
Honestly, in lieu of a eulogy, I would have just played that at his service. And I think Mike Leach might have wanted it that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did want a Halloween candy, too, I remember. So.
Yeah. So that was talking about all the different mascots in the Pac-12 and how they would stack up against Washington State. So we're going to do our mascot draft. And so we have, our order is Travis, Emily, Jorge, Andy. 3 picks, 12 total picks.
It's a snake draft.
It's a snake draft.
All right, Trav, you're first.
All right, this is, I don't know if it's the first mascot, but it's, as far as I know, it's the first mascot to become very famous, associated with a city, associated with just being goofy and all over the place, and it's quasi-local, going way back to the San Diego Chicken. I want the original San Diego Chicken. He was on it. He had a TV show. He was on the baseball bunch with Johnny Bench, so I'll take the San Diego Chicken.
I started actually writing down San Diego Chicken for you because I could just tell where you were headed.
Of course, the San Diego Chicken is the perfect choice for me.
All right, so I'm second, and I think that I'm going to do, again, this is maybe a product of my age, but I think this is my favorite mascot to ever exist because he's everywhere. He's in so many TV shows. He's in so many commercials. He's in everybody wants to see this mascot because this mascot is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers mascot. All right. Jorge, you're next.
Okay, so I'm with the number 3 pick. I'm gonna go with the Trojan from USC. What's his name? Timmy.
Tommy
the
Trojan. Timmy is his less successful younger brother.
Timmy's his primo. I'll go with Tommy the Trojan.
Tommy Trojan.
Okay, I am going to go with for my first pick, the mascot of my youth, Fredbird from the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, it's a good
really,
one.
To be honest, really the only mascot who's ever meant anything to me at all. I'm not a big mascot guy. My next pick on the turn, because he was so funny in an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I'm going with the Philly Fanatic.
The Fanatic's a great choice. I was hoping he'd be there when I came back around, but I wasn't optimistic.
I don't even know what else he does.
He's legit. Do you remember him fighting Tommy Lasorda?
Oh, yes. Oh.
Okay, well, the Philadelphia mascots are supreme. Gritty and
great.
Fanatic are both amazing.
The Fanatic had a fight with Tommy Lasorda.
I forgot
near third
about
base.
that.
Terrific. Yes.
All right, Jorge?
All right, so this next one takes me back. We talked about our childhood, foods and whatnot, so I'm going to go with the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh,
the
that
Kool-Aid
guy's
Man.
awesome.
That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I'm going with the Kool-Aid Man.
I forgot that these could be outside of sports.
Yeah.
The Kool-Aid Man is exactly why I don't wear red shirts.
So one time my dad was wearing a red shirt, and I said, "Hey, Dad, can you go like this and go like this?
Make a little spout."
Yeah, and I said,
my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me you didn't want to run out to the store and buy Kool-Aid
Dude.
when that guy comes smashing through your walls.
Or go steal a packet."
Never.
All right, so my next one is not local, but it is someone that is fascinating the internet across many different platforms. And I'm going to take both of them here, okay, just because I think
you get 2 for 1 here?
It is.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Met. Because Mrs. Met gets the attention of many people on the Twitter sphere. And if you don't know why, look her up.
Mr. and Mrs. Met was on my list, and I was going to ask you, Emily, if I had to pick one or the other, had I known I could take them both, I might have done that at the top.
Sorry,
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You,
All right,
you have the rules. Another one that is kind of a pioneer in this game. He was the first mascot to be at least as much of an acrobat as he is a guy just kind of flapping around doing nonsense. The Phoenix Gorilla. The Phoenix Gorilla was the first guy that was flying through the air off trampolines and dunking and getting dropped from the ceiling and all these things. I believe he still exists. I think the Suns still employ the Gorilla. So I got the Phoenix Gorilla for my second pick, and I get it on the swing back again. Kind of want to take Cletus just to take it off the board from Andy.
Honestly.
It's not too bad.
Is he a mascot?
Yeah.
Sure.
Fox Sports.
Sure.
Fox Sports Football.
This is, I'm going to go, I have a NBA one, I have a Major League Baseball / NFL one, and I'm going to get a college football one, and it's kind of cheesy, but it's ubiquitous. He's all over the place. I don't even know his name, but I want this guy from the Fighting Irish. I want the guy, what is he called? The Leprechaun?
Yeah.
Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
but then
Lucky,
there's
right?
also
Lucky?
like a live person who plays a leprechaun. But
I don't
want the one.
I
on
don't want the
icon.
guy with the beard. I want
Yeah.
the cartoon guy that's got his fists up. I like that guy, the Fighting Irish guy. I want him.
Nothing Notre Dame. I will not accept anything Notre Dame.
Okay, so my last one, I'm going to go non-sport. I'm going to go, okay, it's sports adjacent because there's a lot of commercials for this during sports, which now features Dion and Nick Saban. And I'm going to do this because I think that people don't understand the product because the mascot itself is so ubiquitous. They don't even know what this product is. They just, Aflac. So I'm going to do the Aflac duck. Aflac. All right,
What
Jorge.
is? I know it's insurance. Beyond that, I don't know.
I think it's supplemental insurance. So
It's-
whatever the insurance can't cover, then you can also
Yes.
get Aflac.
They also created some cancer-specific insurance.
Jorge, last pick.
All right, with my last pick, we talked about being clean and not liking mold and this and that, and it grosses Andy out. So I'm going with Mr. Clean.
Good one.
Mr. Clean as my
Mr.
number
Clean,
3.
Mr. Clean.
Okay, this has made me realize that I don't understand the difference between a mascot and a character. Because Mr. Clean doesn't feel like a mascot to me; he feels like a character.
Feels like a brand.
He's a
Yeah.
mascot
Yeah,
for
just take your
Mr. Clean.
pick.
I'm not arguing with you at all. I'm saying I'm at a disadvantage drafting because I clearly don't understand the difference between a mascot
We
and
said
a character.
Flo. We said
Flo would be a good
Flo would
pick.
be a good one.
So I'm just
Micro
gonna
Caveman.
Jake from State Farm.
Yeah.
Pillsbury Doughboy.
see that to me doesn't feel like a mascot. It feels like a character.
Okay, so if there's a Pillsbury event, they're going to have the Doughboy there. So he's a mascot.
The Michelin Man.
The Michelin Man's
Yeah.
another one. If there's a tire event.
All right, well, Andy hasn't even picked his last one, so he needs to still pick.
Because clearly I don't understand the difference. I'm going to stay with a mascot, and I'm only choosing this guy. I mean, I think he's actually, Emily can verify, I think he's very popular. I'm choosing him just because his name sounds like an adult film star, Steely McBeam.
Oh, yeah.
Who does he represent?
Steelers.
He's the Steelers guy? Is that the guy that's the iron worker? Mm-hmm. Or the steel
guess
worker, I guess?
so.
All right,
Yeah.
Steely McBeam.
Steely McBeam.
Steely McBeam.
You said it does conjure an image.
Yes, it certainly does.
Okay, so one thing that we left off, and I almost picked it because of value, but the BYU Cougar does some of the most amazing stunts that you'll ever see in a mascot outfit, and he does dances and stuff. So if you haven't seen BYU Cougar like performances, they're amazing.
What about Puddles the Duck, who did 560 push-ups? Is that what the number was?
I also feel like that's a common thing around college football because they do it at Virginia Tech too. They do push-ups as well there. The Hokies pretty good too. They wear the Hokie feet around.
His name is Puddles, right?
Yes.
All right, because Graham, who was an intern and got hired, congrats, Graham. He says no, it's just the duck. We don't call him Puddles. I was like, dude, it's Puddles.
It
the
was
duck.
Puddles, unless it's a recent dropping of the name.
He's like, no, he's
Yeah.
like, it's the duck. I was like, all right, dude.
It's
chill.
kind of interesting to have. So like the Dodgers, they have a mascot guy that walks around. It's there's a person with the fake head that I've seen at Dodger games.
Nah.
No, I have.
Nah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I've never seen it.
I've been to the games for
I've seen
20-something years.
This Dodger thing walking around.
That might be just a fan in a costume.
I've never seen that.
I have seen it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you haven't seen it. I'm saying I have not seen it.
Okay, I just pulled it up on Google. It's the Dodger mascot. It's this like little kid. You guys, I'm not crazy.
We weren't saying that you were. We were saying we didn't see it.
Okay, well,
The-
whatever.
The San Antonio Spurs coyote is
that's
pretty
good.
great.
That's a cool one.
Also,
But he's a ripoff of the gorilla.
I mean, all of the animal mascots.
Well, I understand, but the gorilla was the first one to say, "What if I take a trampoline out there?"
Okay, well, I mean, you build on the original pioneers.
What if I take two trampolines?
You build on the things that they've done. The other guy that I know Laker fans hate this team, and I don't blame them, and their fans are awful. The Utah Jazz, what is he again? I'm blanking. The Utah Jazz Bear.
Okay.
I went to a game for work in Salt Lake City. This bear's incredible. Like, he rides a motorcycle. He's on a massive unicycle. This bear is unbelievable.
Okay. Also, another mascot that I love that I saw when I saw the Colorado Rockies. It's Dinger. So it looks almost like it's like a little bit of Barney, but a little bit mixed with the Cosmic
I've
Brownie.
seen that.
And Dinger had an entrance. He rode it, or she rode in on a motorcycle through like the downtown, and everybody like Dinger. Dinger. I was like, I'm in. I love
When
mascot.
your baseball team is the Rockies, you need to find alternate forms of entertainment. You need to find something to get excited about. What about Dancing Barry back from the Lakers back in the day? Remember that guy? He was like in a leisure suit and he would just dance in the aisles. I think he was just a fan.
He predates my Laker fandom.
Also, I sent you guys the pictures of the Dodger mascot.
She's not going to let
Oh,
this one
Bailey
go.
from the Kings.
Bailey the Kings? Remember he brought his drum in here?
Yeah,
Bailey is pretty strong.
Bailey's good.
What about Rampage?
Rampage is good.
Oh, Rampage.
Rampage has got an arm. I don't know if you've ever seen Rampage throw a pass, but he's got some game for sure. It is right now the Waba Grill Lunch Hour on 710 ESPN. Thanks to our friends at Waba Grill. Waba Grill is about giving you fresh, grilled-to-order menu items at a great value. Stop by today for a value bowl and taco combo for only $8.59. You get a grilled chicken mini bowl, their new Boom Boom Taco, and a drink for only $8.59. Get yours today. Order ahead at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy. We have our NFL picks against the draft coming up in just a little bit. And the Dodgers have a very, very, very serious problem with only about 20 games left in the season. That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
Dodgers, somebody just texted me, Brendan. She's not wrong. I know the guy in the Dodger bobblehead costume.
I sent you guys the picture of the Dodger mascot.
Brendan, thank you for the text, my man.
You don't believe me, but you believe your friend Brendan.
710 ESPN.
don't hear it as much.
What's that?
You don't hear it as much.
Why can't I place it? What NFL theme song? What network is this their NFL theme song? I thought I knew them all for sure.
This is Red Zone.
This is what?
Red Zone.
Nope.
No.
It's not Red Zone? It's the pregame Red Zone, right?
It's the NFL Network.
NFL Network.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's it. All right, we got that.
I love the Red Zone countdown clock. That's like my jam.
To the start of the...
Before 7 hours before that, yeah.
That's got to be one of the most challenging broadcasting jobs that there is. You have to know every single roster.
And be on
Why are you
for
making
3
a face,
hours.
Yates?
Respectfully,
Let's go!
as a person who does a show where a lot of other smart humans help the humans that are on camera do some things, Scott's got a great team. Let's say that.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Siciliano when it was on DirecTV.
I'm not talking about Siciliano because I don't watch that, so I wouldn't know.
How? No. I know the amount of work he does.
Oh, I'm not saying these guys don't do a lot of work.
That instantly, it's when some random defensive back for the Tennessee Titans picks one and he's going the other way in real time.
But I'm saying
you can't fudge that.
You got guys for that, and those guys are good at it. Is what I'm saying.
I remember before I
just
got
a hater.
I'm not a hater. I just think it's actually harder that way.
I remember before I got into this industry and like really truly knew how anything worked other than just understanding the sports themselves. I remember watching Vin and being like, how does he know all of this information? Like all of these different stories and details and stuff. Like, how is it possible? And then I realized they have pages and pages of research being done for them. And obviously the skill is weaving it all in. And clearly Vin is researched and all that. I used to think, though, that like Vin and Chick, like they knew all of this off the top of their heads.
What I was going to say, Travis, is that my point about it being a team game, in fact, in my opinion, makes it a little trickier. It's one thing if you just know it all. It's another thing if you've got guys that are like, hey, we got this, hey, we got that, you got to hit this,
That's
you
a
got to hit that.
Nobody will ever understand
That's
how
hard.
disorienting that is until you've had it happen
Exactly.
to you.
That's what I'm saying.
That is a very challenging thing to be able to do.
That's what I was getting at.
I don't know if it's more challenging than having 1,500 guys memorized. You know what I mean?
But a lot of voices in your head. You know that's not easy to deal with.
It's very, very. Once you get used to it, it's air traffic control, right? I know what to tune out. I know what to listen to. I know what's important. I know what's not. But when it first starts, I was like, you stop. You hear it. And then you got to keep going.
Okay, according, by the way, we just got hit up on Twitter from Corey Van Vactor.
Okay.
Emily must be talking about these guys. They are a mascot of the bobbleheads, not the Dodgers mascot.
I've seen them with my eyes.
How am I supposed to know that?
Well,
no one's accusing you of anything.
Well, I mean, we did try to tell you.
I mean, to Emily's point, because I heard this conversation walking in the studio. By the way, for those of you listeners who don't know me, I'm Television's Clinton Yates. Thank you for introducing me, Travis. I'm joking.
I think you're around enough. I'm joking.
I love
you
that.
just wanted
Perfect
to
buzzer.
say that. Let's
I did.
cut to the
What I'm
chase.
saying is, if you had to say,
This is the part where you bring up your handsome man.
No.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And then this is the part where I remind you of the errors that you made in the softball. We each have our roles.
What I was going to say is, if you looked at those and you saw them with any other jerseys on, what would you call them? You would call them mascots. That's where I'm at.
So if you Google Dodgers mascot, the very first sentence that comes up is the Dodgers do not have a mascot.
What happens if you press images?
Well, they've got these guys that apparently are handy with a needle and thread that show up at games occasionally. But according to the Dodgers, or at least Google, they don't have
My
them.
contention was the Dodgers do not have anybody on the payroll. Like nobody cashes a check from the Dodgers. Your job is a mascot.
So what do these guys get paid?
I'm guessing
probably by baseball.
I was going to say, or per game. Like there's not, you know what I mean? That's not a
every
running
team doesn't
gig.
have these same bobblehead guys that go around, you know?
They were there. You know what? They were there.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Whether or not these are mascots.
I'm just saying.
They have them in
How are they not mascots?
They also have multiple.
Fine, they're mascots. Who cares?
They have multiple races. They have multiple races of those mascots. Like they are at all sorts of events, like at the front and center field. Like they've got, it's wild.
Like races as in foot races or races like.
Let's take a wild guess. They've got the 100 meter, the 200 meter, and they've got the 800 as well. No, they've got them in all shapes and sizes and colors and creeds.
So they're like a Benetton ad of
Correct.
Of mascots.
Well, or if you're in Milwaukee, there's a variety pack of sausages that race each other.
Right, like the presidents of the district.
You get a brat, you get a Polish, you get a hot dog, and the fourth one,
kielbasa?
Perhaps it's kielbasa.
Diversity.
Yes.
Diversity. diversity.
Yes,
you don't get that when the racing president's not the same diversity. Turns out they're all just old white guys. Yeah.
A lot of powdered wigs in that race.
Exactly.
A lot of powdered wigs. If you want to win a 4-pack of passes for SoFi Stadium Tour, behind-the-scenes experience in the ultimate sports and entertainment destination, exclusive access to SoFi Stadium's backstage passes, or spaces, I should say, iconic photo ops, you can even kick some field goals and more. Call number 7 right now, 877-710-ESPN. Again, the number, 877-710-ESPN. Tours available daily at SoFiStadium.com/tours. Caller number 7. Have you gotten behind the scenes at SoFi?
No,
it's
I've not.
unreal.
Is it?
It really, truly.
Is it worth doing even when there's not a game? I'd love to do that.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
And
like
quite frankly, it might be more fun to do
Preferable.
it without a game because you can spend some time. Look, there, you go down a staircase, you come around, and there's a ballroom. There's this club that you didn't know existed.
Oh, really?
On the owner suite.
Mandy's 3? That's a joke. But yeah, that's fun.
Unreal.
Actually, why is it a joke?
Because I don't.
I have a feeling
because
the
I don't run the
rates-
fun and games department, and that's why. But when you say ballroom, I immediately think Mandy. That's how close the correlation is.
Ballroom. Yeah, it had chandeliers, so
That's
I
a
don't know what
ballroom.
else to call it.
Yeah,
that
if
is
you've
a
got
ballroom.
a chandelier, you're a ballroom.
It had more than one too, so it felt
is that
like
right?
it was amazing.
It's like The Shining.
It was not unlike the Overlook Hotel. It was only pleasant.
Yes, make it clear.
Not haunted.
and warm.
or
No
maniacal in
twins.
any way.
No twin girls.
No
Twins were
snow.
upsetting. So
None
was
of
the
that.
bartender.
They're all pretty upsetting.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot. There wasn't.
That's funny.
So, how often, or I shouldn't say how often, what do you think the likelihood of this being Clayton Kershaw's final season is? Knowing what we know,
Very
I think it's high too.
It's very high. I think that for two reasons. Number one is that he's already doing the one-year deals thing. And as we've discussed on Blue Review, which is, of course, on ESPN Los Angeles' YouTube page, YouTube component, AK being here, I think that the velo loss is as much of an issue from an effectiveness standpoint as it is from an ego standpoint, too. You don't got it. You don't got it, and these breaks are not as effective for him later in his career.
He's got
as they
100
have been.
innings in his arm, give or take.
Right.
Give or take. It's so here, and again, this kind of goes back to something else we were talking about, too. The Roger Clemens plan worked, right? Show up about halfway through, give me what you got towards the end, and then let's see what happens in the playoffs. I don't think Clayton Kershaw has any interest in something like that. And the ego thing, I don't know if it's, oh, man, I can't break 90 anymore. I don't want to do this. It's the margins that come along with not being able to break 90.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And it's that he is just so much less effective in like a 3-mile-per-hour window that you think to yourself, number one, that's going to be tough to overcome. And number two, the Roger Clemens thing worked, but are the Dodgers really going to retool an entire staff to get Clayton Kershaw 100 innings for one more?
I think
there's an argument they've already done it for this one.
He's the only, but then they did it poorly. Because the first 100 innings of the season are not nearly as important as the final 100 innings.
But they had to have him because of everything else that happened to all the other guys.
Yeah. In retrospect, they had to have him. But my whole thing is the Dodgers were either going to be in it or not. But if they're only trying to win a World Series, if the goal, and I think that's for them the only goal.
So
the
I'm
only
told.
way you're going to do it is having him a part of it.
Really?
And yeah, I do. This season, you
okay.
had to have him be an important. He was the best pitcher on this team all season long, and it wasn't
He
even
was an
close.
all-star.
He was terrific.
I watched him with my own eyeballs throwing balls in Seattle with a tank top on. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. And I was like, who is this guy? But no, that's
Andy, do you think
not
he's
sustainable.
on the Dodgers next year? I don't. I wouldn't bet my car on it, but I really think it's more likely
You
than
might bet
not.
lunch on it, though?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it until we started talking about it today, but you guys are both making really compelling arguments because also, too, I don't think Clayton Kershaw wants to just be in the league for the sake of being in the league. No. He's not going to team hop.
No.
And
he's not going to go to the bullpen either.
No. Right. He wants to pitch a very specific way for very specific reasons. Like, he is who he is.
And he still can. It's just for shorter and shorter periods
and
of
also,
time.
too, like you mentioned, going to the bullpen or whatever. Like, there's nothing left for Clayton Kershaw to accomplish in terms of something new. He doesn't have anything to prove, even if you're one of those playoff doubters. He's got that now in the rearview mirror.
I agree with that, but I do. The first thing you said, Andy, I'm a Dodger fan. I respect what happened in 2020. It is a World Series championship, but it's a different type of World Series championship. What he has not done is run the complete race. to go through a 162-game season and win a World Series. And I'm not saying that the 2021 isn't a real World Series, but it's significantly different because the 60 games is the part where everything's clicking.
Where he's the best.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect Kershaw situation.
Okay, you may be right about that, and that might even be fair. But the problem, though, is at this stage of his career, I think that's a moot point because I don't think that's something he's physically capable of doing. At his height, maybe if you want to ding him,
contributing in a significant way to a team that does it. Not that he's going to make 35 starts.
But then he's not doing the thing that you're talking about that's left for him to do in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, if that would count, then why does not 2020 count?
So,
that's a good point.
By definition, not by like announcement, but by definition, when the Dodgers go into the postseason, is it Bobby Miller and then bullpen games
I don't want to
until you come around to Bobby Miller
again? Got to do Blue Review later today. I've been thinking about what I'm going to talk about. This is
Miller and bullpen games. That's what you got.
And
whether
even-
it's Bueller, whether it's Kershaw, whether it's Lynn, whether it's any of the
and
young
there's an
guys
outside
like
argument
Pepio.
that bullpen games are all just the same games anyway. You know what I mean? Because
But can you do them over? I mean, at some point, maybe you just send somebody out there to take a clubbing, right? That we're going to Lance Lynn, today's your day. You're pitching 5 innings.
Depends if
Lance
you're ahead
Lynn's
or
taking clubbings whether he wants to or not
Well,
is
but
the point
there's
here.
there's
the question
a-
is who can eat the most innings that allows your bats to stay in it. That's the real question. Is that
5-0 after 2 innings.
What
At
I'm
that
saying-
point, don't you just say, "Look, we're losing today. You're pitching 3
What
more
I'm saying,
innings."
though, Travis, is you're going to be in bullpen games effectively anyway because of who of all your starters are. That's what I'm getting at. Like, you've got to approach it that way.
But-
Maybe you don't have a starter, an opener, rather. You know what I mean? Maybe don't go opener, then
I-
bullpen game.
I
but
get
like,
it. Let's say
you're going long relief on pretty much everything if these bats don't get moving the way that they should.
unless it gets ugly early, right? If it gets ugly early, if it's the second inning, third inning, and it's 5-6-0, at that point, I'm not sending out my
see what you're
Braziers and
saying.
my Yarboroughs
Yeah.
because I'm going to need them tomorrow.
You're letting somebody
I
take a
can't
hit.
pitch those guys pitch every day.
Right.
They can pitch every other day.
It depends on where you are in the series. I think a lot of this is going to be dictated by: are you ahead in the series? Is it even? Are you behind? If you know what I mean. If you're
Such
ahead,
a tough way to play baseball.
like every single
really
playoff game is precious. Like I don't think there's such a thing as a throwaway playoff game, but if you're ahead in the series and you have to eat one of them with a clubbing, that's fine. But if you're behind in the series, you can't treat it as disposable.
I want to end this on a high note because here's how they can win a series, a championship series, and a World Series.
Please let me know. I'll
Okay?
go play the lottery.
All of these things go the full distance, and the games that you win them 9-7.
Yeah.
The games that you lose 11-2.
A lot of first inning runs.
A lot of, hey, we're in this, and we're going to just see who can score 8 first, 9 first. And the games where you're not hitting, all right, somebody's getting smashed tonight, and we're not going to go through the whole – we're not going to burn up the pen. We're going to punt on these. I get it what you're saying, Andy, that they are precious, but when you literally have no starting pitchers, you have to get more strategic than typical. And I think that you win 4 out of the 7 by scoring 8 or 9 runs, and the ones that you lose, you get housed.
Tall task.
Not impossible. Unlikely, but not impossible. I'm going with that. I'm going to make myself feel better. Week 1 of the NFL season starts tonight, which means week 1 of our NFL picks against the spread. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Mason in Ireland, weekdays after Trav and Sliwa.
A martini is not a martini regardless of the ingredients.
Okay, so if we went to Yard House and there were 2 martinis, one made by one of the bartenders there and one made by me.
Yeah.
To benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research at BG Black Gold Golf Club in your Belinda. We'll be broadcasting live all day long, all your favorite shows, plus, of course, the 19th hole party for the afternoon show on the deck there at BG overlooking the 18th hole. And special thanks to our partners, Elite Accessed, Your Dream, Our Lens, wedding production, photography, events, promotional content, and more. Access the Elite. Elite Accessed. Be sure to be listening all day Friday as we are live from the SoCal Hyundai ESPN LA Golf Classic right here on 710 ESPN.
Right, that the NFL season is here, and we are going to start by making our picks against the spread very quickly. I think I explained it to you, Jorge, this morning, right?
10 points, you put your points on the
table.
table.
There are 10 points available every week. The team, the game that you like the most, you put in your 4 spot. If you are correct, you get 4 points. The next one is 3, 2, 1, 10 total. You're trying to collect points.
All right.
Okay? That's what we're doing. Game number 1 is the Rams and the Seahawks in Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks are a 5-point favorite. No Cooper Kupp in this game. I'm going to bat lead off here.
Oh, wow. Who's picking first?
Well, this is a disadvantage picking first in this game. That's why we rotate. I'm going to take the Rams. I think they're going to have a hard time winning the game without Cooper Kupp, but I do think that they're going to be in the game with Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald, and I like it so much, I'm going to put it at my 1. The Rams at 1 for me. AK, you're next.
So that means you're least confident about it.
Correct.
Okay. For this particular game?
Yes.
I've got Seattle covering.
Okay.
And I got it at a 4.
Oh, okay. So we are you are feeling very good about the cover to the point where this is your most confident game of the week.
This might be me projecting anger and angst as somebody who took Cooper Kupp very high in a draft.
13th, I believe.
Yeah, 12th or 13th.
Well, that was a mistake.
It was a massive mistake. It felt like a mistake in the moment.
Yeah.
So much panic going on. It's a terrible place to draft in a 12-team league. But I feel like Seattle's going to house them.
Em, you're next.
I agree with everything Andy said. I think that the Rams usually
Including
play
that I
this.
made a mistake taking Kupp.
So the one that keeps me up here is this spread. So Rams, regardless of if they're going to win or if they're going to lose, they play them pretty tight. Okay, so like last season, even when the Rams were not doing very well, when they were at the end of their rope and at the end of the season, they still played the Seahawks close. It was like a 4-point loss,
Both
a 3-point
games were
loss.
close.
Yeah, so it's all within a score. So it will likely still be closer than we think in a game, but I'm still going to take the Seahawks on this, and I'm also going to give it a 4.
Yeah, you're not that concerned, right?
No.
Seattle at 4. Jorge.
Rams are my 1.
Rams are,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so somebody's coming out of this one in pretty good shape. You guys will either get your 4s or Jorge and I will get 1s, and you guys miss your 4s. Andy, you're first here. This is the grudge match between Emily and Jorge.
Ready to wear my beanie.
The Niners are on the road in Pittsburgh against Steely McBeam. The Steelers are 2.5-point underdogs.
Yeah, and apologies to Emily, who I love, and Steely McBeam. That's my guy.
Don't apologize.
But I think the Niners are going
Wrong.
to cover in this, and I feel
Mistake.
pretty confident, so I'm giving it a 3.
A 3. So San Francisco at 3. M, where are you putting the Steelers?
All right, so we're going to put Steelers obviously covering this. They get a lot of hype. They're getting a lot of push behind them. I think it's going to be a closer game. I think the 2.5, I think the Steelers could win this outright. So I have Steelers at 3.
Tell them your prediction that you told me.
I think
Score.
it's going to be 27-31 Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can see that. Jorge.
I don't know why you're laughing at
Come
that.
on.
That's a
Where are
very
you putting
reasonable
the
score.
Niners?
All right, so Monday, Emily's going to be wearing my poncho. And then Parker decided to add on to this, and he's a
Okay.
Steelers fan, so he's going to bring me a bottle of tequila unless he's like DeAndre and doesn't want to
Parker
pay
and
up.
Fun and Games.
Have you specified which
Yeah.
shelf we're shopping for
Black
tequila on?
Barrel, something they can
Okay.
afford, you know?
Okay.
Just and I can afford.
Right.
No, but Niners, my 4. Very confident on this one.
Niners at 4.
Yes. Let's
I'm
make
not
that the standard.
I'm
Niners
not
always
a
gonna be my 4.
big believer in Brock Purdy yet. I'm not there. I'm going to need to see a little more. He's coming off of a big time injury. I don't know what Sam Darnold would look like if he would have to play. The Steelers don't mess around. They're always pretty good. Even
One
when
stat
they're
that I
not
didn't
great.
do. Hey, Jorge, maybe you would have wanted this. They have.
Yeah, the mic's off.
They haven't lost their first game since 2018 of the season. They beat the Bills, they beat the Bengals, and they beat someone else. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
it's just a
they
stat.
have a really good. They come out of the chute really well.
Pittsburgh at my 2. I'm taking the Steelers at 2. Emily, you're going first with our next one.
Yep.
The Miami Dolphins here in Los Angeles taking on the Chargers. Chargers are 3-point favorites.
Okay, so I think that this is going to be this is the hardest game to pick of the whole week, I think. Just because we don't know what this Dolphins team is going to be. We don't know what Tua is going to look like. We don't know that. I think we do know the Chargers, and I think they are a good team. I think they're going to go and have a good record this season. Who knows what's going to happen in the postseason? So I'm going to pick my Chargers, and it's going to be my 2, though. I'm not super confident.
Emily gets the Chargers at 2. Jorge.
Herbert's going to show why he just got paid, so I'm going to take the Chargers at my 3.
Chargers at 3. I'm up next. I think the Chargers are going to be good. I think Justin Herbert's going to show why they gave him all that money. And I think Brandon Staley hopefully had a come to Jesus moment with I need to do this a little bit more traditionally moving forward. And I'm going to take the Chargers all the way at the top with my 4. Andy.
I got the Chargers, but I don't feel confident about it. I have it at a 2. A, because Miami actually I think is pretty good. And B, with the Chargers, particularly when we're talking about a small line, which means you're thinking things could be close, which means
home field,
which also just means the Chargers in a close game
and a kicker.
Yes.
Look, close does not favor the Chargers in many circumstances.
I got the Chargers covering, but it's a 2.
So that's 4 of us all picking the Chargers.
This also
which
might be the
means
only time
Miami
that
wins.
might be the only time that Allen picks the Chargers because I'm counting Andy's
Oh,
picks
Andy's
as
picks,
Allen's
Stanford.
picks. Yeah.
Okay, that seems fair. And then finally, our 4th game, Jorge, you are first, and it is the Raiders on the road in Denver, with Denver being a 4-point favorite.
Rooting for my former quarterback, Jimmy G.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Raiders as my 2.
Raiders at 2.
Yeah.
I also am going to take the Raiders, and I only have my 3 left, so Raiders at 3 for me. I may be one of the few people on earth that thinks Jimmy Garoppolo is a pretty good quarterback. I he's not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning. He's not Patrick Mahomes.
He got him to a Super Bowl.
But he's not this, Jimmy G's just a face man. He can't play. Jimmy G, Devontae Adams, Okay, let's see what happens. Max Crosby? Okay, let's see what happens. I think Russell Wilson is completely washed. I think there's a good opportunity for the Raiders.
That's right.
Andy.
I have absolutely zero feel for this game or either one of these teams whatsoever. I could see the Raiders covering. I could see Denver covering. I could see the game getting canceled. Like
An act of God.
Yes. I have Denver, but it's a 1.
All right, Denver at 1. Emily, the last pick of the day.
All right, so you know who I don't trust? I don't trust Josh McDaniels. Who I do trust? I trust Sean Payton. I think that Sean Payton will come out with a good scheme, whatever the benefit and skills that Russell Wilson may still have. I think that they can do it. I think they can beat the Raiders. So I have it at my 1, though. Broncos 1.
All right, Broncos at 1. How does Russell Wilson, speaking of the Broncos and the Raiders, how do you guys think Russell Wilson responds to Sean Payton kind of whacking him a little bit? For Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson had the relationship that every quarterback wants right up until they had to get rid of him. That the other guys in that locker room were looking at Carroll like, you're going to do something about this Fugazi, right? This guy is a bozo. Do something. They didn't. Sean Payton's not doing that. They tried to do it last year with Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett. How does Russell Wilson, who is all about image, respond to somebody saying, stop kissing babies, you're not running for office?
Sean Payton has been very, very vocal in this new role with Denver. Like, he's already had to issue mea culpas. He is just talking. Like, I'll tell you what right now, he is in this role conducting himself publicly like somebody who's like, I already got a ring. I already got plenty of money. I have 1 million jobs lined up, whether in the NFL or as a broadcaster if I want it. I'm going to say whatever the hell I want. If Russell Wilson doesn't like it, who cares? I am in a better place right now than Russell Wilson. Deal with it.
Yeah. There's something very intoxicating and appealing about somebody who doesn't have anything.
He's
to
in
lose.
drunk uncle mode, like at the Thanksgiving table. Like,
I don't care if he likes this or not.
So I also want to formally apologize to Rampage because I feel like we have offended him on Twitter.
We did offend him.
Yeah, so we did not pick him in our mascot draft at 12 o'clock. So Rampage, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Will you have us back? We love you, Rampage.
Rampage is the mascot emeritus. He's always at the top of the list. He's always on the top of the list.
You don't even have to mention it.
Well, this is what happened. Someone,
you too.
Not why me.
IC_lasagna pointed out to us at Twitter that
me too.
Rampage NFL is missing, to which I responded, and I meant this as a compliment. Rampage was an honorable mention because we did mention him as really among the great mascots. It's just a short draft. Rampage, NFL, actual Rampage, responded, yikes. So I feel like we inadvertently offended Rampage. Like, we were giving him compliments.
I will place flowers at Rampage's cubicle here at 710. Rampage has his own spot.
If it
chocolates.
Chocolates.
We'll say we're so sorry. We'll do everything we can to get him back.
We'll make it right, Rampage.
If it makes Rampage feel any better, if his name sounded more like an adult film star, like Steely McBeam, I might have taken him.
Well, I mean, there's I haven't gone that deep into the internet. I don't know. Who knows?
There's probably a tab somewhere on some site.
I'm sure, like, there's a lid for every pot, right? Absolutely. The Dump is coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. 1-800-9-million. You know that number by now, right? You're saying, oh, Travis, tell me about Sweet James again. That's right, I am. 1-800-9-million. That's the number you need to call if you're hurt in an accident. It could be a car accident, a motorcycle accident, a truck accident. Doesn't matter what type of accident. If you're hurt in an accident, call Sweet James, because the last thing you want to do is take on that insurance company by yourself. That is not going to work out for you. The insurance company does not have your back. Sweet James going to make sure that your car gets fixed, going to make sure that your medical expenses are covered, and, of course, the settlement. Sweet James has collected over $1 billion with a B, $1 billion in his nearly 20-year career. So if you are hurt in an accident, make the call that I've made, my friends and family have made, the call that you need to make if you are hurt in an accident. 1-800-9-million. That's 1-800-900-0000. And, of course, you can go online at sweetjames.com.
This is the Rams Report.
Only 8 games remain in the MLS regular season, and the black and gold have no time to waste as the battle for playoff position is heating up. Saturday night, LAFC hit the road for a Western Conference clash in Portland, aiming for a crucial 3 points on the road.
Oh my goodness, Denise!
Los Angeles Football Club versus Portland Timbers. Pre-game coverage begins Saturday night at 7 p.m. on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app.
Feel like there's a version of our universe that exists where Lance Lynn and I would be good buddies. I feel like there's a lot of similar energies going on between the two of us. Lance Lynn gave up his 40th home run of the NFL season. Michael, what's in that bag? Oh my God! Michael, are you kidding me? They do. Michael just gave me, what is this? Got to be 100 at least, right? 100, yeah, a couple 100 golf balls. Yeah, I didn't. Thank you.
Give him to you, Kamenetsky says you don't play golf. You
don't
appreciate the greatest game there is.
I do not. And I would just lose those balls somewhere.
This is incredibly generous, Michael. Thank you.
I got some for Bergman and Morales, too.
Okay, well, look, as long as I get more than them, that's good enough.
That's yours. I got theirs.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Thank you, Michael.
Where do you get all these?
I got a Callaway connection. Who hooks me up?
I'll say. Yeah. And hooks me up by association. Thank you.
Nicely done, Michael.
That's going to be like I'm going to be sweating by the time I get to my car. It's a lot of golf balls. Thanks, Michael. Lance Lynn gave up his 40th home run of the season last night, and his quote after the game was, I mean, once you give over 30, who gives a blank? Which is the correct response. There's a number where it's a lot. Like, what difference does it make whether I give up 20 or 25 or 40? It's way too many. And that he's kind of just leaning into it makes me like Lance Lynn all the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. When there was a period where Lance Lynn legitimately seemed like the best trade deadline move in all of baseball, and it wasn't really even that close.
No.
But at the same time, when the Dodgers traded for Lance Lynn, my immediate reaction was, wait, that Lance Lynn? Like, he's still in the league? I honestly had, not only did I not know he was in the league this year, I had assumed Lance Lynn had been out of the league for like 2 or 3 years, minimum.
Lance Lynn is not out of the league. He not only is still pitching and giving up home runs, he's going to pitch in the playoffs against a pretty good team. There's no scenario that exists where he's not a part of what they're doing in the postseason. And if they do get through their opening round and the Braves get through their opening round, at that point maybe he becomes somebody you can't really rely on. But if they're going to get through the Marlins, the Reds, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, San Francisco, whichever of the teams that they Phillies, whoever they end up playing, Lance Lynn's going to have to be a part of that.
Yeah, he is going to have to be a part of it, and they're going to have to just hope for the best and be judicious in his use. He is also correct. Once you get past 30 home runs given up, who cares? Might as well hit 50.
Hey, don't give him any ideas.
Well, I don't think he's necessarily trying. It won't matter.
Well, fair enough. It was today in 1979, September 7th, 1979, that ESPN came on the air for the first time at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with the inaugural edition of SportsCenter. And it really is hard to imagine a world where SportsCenter didn't exist. Because I know that it's gone through a million different versions of what it is, and what it is now wasn't what it was 10 years ago and then 10 years before that. But that there was a time when you went to your local news exclusively to get 2 minutes of highlights instead of sitting down for a half hour and an hour and getting everything. It's hard to imagine.
Yeah, and even though the show itself, like in the internet age and with everything being so easy to look up, the highlights are available everywhere. In some ways it can feel not as vital as it used to. Then you look at like the way Scott Van Pelt does it.
Yep.
His show is incredible. His SportsCenter is
terrific,
incredible.
You can see their personalities out with how they talk about the highlights, how they talk about the sports they like. It's just so interesting to see how each SportsCenter anchor tackles each sport differently and each era differently. It's really cool.
And we all are. We're all of our eras, right? We all are, however old you are, and you get the habits that you get. But I still find myself at the end of a Saturday, Friday night, or whatever, if I'm up late enough, I flip over to ESPN. I want to see the late SportsCenter to kind of get the bow on everything that had happened. And I get it. It's not just an endless string of highlights the way that it used to be with guys making, one-liners and stuff, but it still is the destination for kind of the end of the day.
I used to tune in just for the top 10 sometimes. Like,
it's
did I miss
great.
the top 10? Yes, that's always great. And then the da-da-da just became a staple. It just it's just cool.
Also, I love the inclusion of ESPN, like the little thing in Winning Time this year. Like, oh yeah, I just went to Bristol to meet with the guys about this new cable product. Who's gonna ever buy that?
That's just one of those things that somebody had a vision of, because it makes perfect sense. Now, how about if we had a channel of just nothing but stuff you like to watch? Sports. We'll do and at the beginning, again, it was Australian rules football. It was arm wrestling. It was Canadian football. It was just
all they could afford.
They didn't have the rights to anything. So it was weird stuff, but it was oddly compelling to watch all of this really off-brand sport.
It's funny too. Like I had never made this connection before, and I have no idea if I'm 100% right about it. But like the idea of all sports, this is the first time I remember a network being all blank for anything. Stuff like the Food Network and the Weather Channel and all of these different things. I wonder how much.
Cable
TV. Yeah. But specifically what you do with cable TV and like the networks that you create out of it. I wonder how much of that is directly related to ESPN and SportsCenter.
I don't think either Jorge or Emily are old enough to have ever experienced this. Do you remember when you got cable TV in your house?
Oh, yeah.
Was it as big of a deal as it was in my house?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Risky Business like 500 times.
Because they had all these whack, like on TV, had like you could watch home Laker games, which felt so surreal that you got to see the Forum in LA that wasn't like the CBS weekend game. And then all of a sudden, there's MTV. There's ESPN.
Dude.
Like all
CNN.
CNN.
I have tried to explain to my 12-year-old daughter, like, what MTV meant, like, culturally and just as, like, a concept, like, how huge it was. It was massive.
It was the pop culture of the day, right? You would go to school and you would talk about the Thriller video or whatever the new one that had came out. You had to have seen it. If you didn't see it, you were completely out of the loop.
Yeah, absolutely. It created and shaped culture.
Also on this day, in 2008, Tom Brady suffered a torn ACL against the Chiefs in Week 1, missing the entire season. Matt Castle was the quarterback. Believe they went 11-6 in his absence and missed the playoffs. It was one of those weird years where 11 wins didn't get you in.
I think, I may be remembering this incorrectly, but I think Randy Moss was there for Matt Castle.
Okay.
I think so. Okay, I may be wrong.
I think he came later when
I know
when
he was
Brady
with Brady.
Was
I just
there.
thought he was there for both, but maybe
it
I'm
also
wrong.
changed the way that you can hit quarterbacks. That when Tom Brady missed an entire year, the NFL came back with, okay, basically we've now gotten to the point where you're allowed to hit the quarterback from like the middle of his chest to about his waist.
Dude,
anything other than that.
I'm sorry. Right now, the restrictions on defensive players it's unfair, particularly with quarterbacks, but also a lot of the targeting rules. Like, these defensive players are put at serious disadvantages.
They're put at a disadvantage, but it's also the reason that 90% of us flip on NFL games, to see the quarterbacks do what they can do. And if the league doesn't have Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and those guys, the league isn't what it is right now. And if it means you got to put flags on these guys at some point, they will. And I'm not even saying that as like a joke.
No.
I could envision that becoming a thing.
I'm going to be honest. There are times where I feel like they really should put flags on the quarterbacks, because otherwise you are penalizing defensive guys for stuff that really they're not physically capable of, like stopping their motion, right? Or like
flying out of the way.
You've got like a 1 foot radius that becomes clean once a quarterback twists in a certain way. That's unfair to them.
It is, and they don't care, and they're going to keep doing it the way that they're doing it. Let's do a little super crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
So Mace is in the spirit of things. He's got his Sunday swagger on, getting ready for tomorrow.
Yes.
Correct?
Excited.
Still touch the golf club? No, not at all?
I've not touched the golf club, but I'm in the par 3 challenge tomorrow with owner Sam Pines, who's going to have to really carry me through this.
John, you just came off of a little bit of a golf bender, yes?
7 rounds in 4 days.
Right,
Yeah.
so your
I'm
game
ready.
is whatever it's going to be, it's going to be.
I'm ready.
Yeah. I really like your chance. Sam's a good golfer.
Yeah, I've played with him.
But I think that this is an opportunity for you to win a match.
Well,
here.
the interesting part of it is we're having a rule. There's 4 par 3s, and you have to use everybody's tee shot at least once.
Okay.
So the drama is which one of Mason's tee shots will they use?
We get to decide after the tee shot, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but if
So
you
I
keep
hit it, and then you
deferring,
say, oh,
but
that's
if you
not
wait
bad.
until the end, then you have to use
Grab
it.
the first good one you hit. Don't get
The
greedy.
first reasonably good tee.
Well,
Now,
and what
there's
you
only
should
4
do-
shots at
right,
this.
But what you should do is wait for, we'll alternate who goes first.
Yes.
But if Bergman and I both hit a lousy shot, then just play yours.
right.
Because then Sam and you can scramble back.
So it's a scramble, right?
No.
it's best
now
ball.
Morales-
Best ball.
It's best ball because Morales told me it's a scramble.
Oh, well, I mean, maybe it is. If it's a scramble, I mean,
If
that's
it's a-
really,
if it's a
not really
scramble,
not any
you
fun.
literally
If it's
couldn't
scramble,
lose.
I may show up at 9.
Yeah, if it's a scramble,
I don't
can't lose.
understand these terms, so I don't even know.
Scramble
what a
means
scramble
you
is.
go, I go, you go, I go. We add our total together, right? So you hit your shot. Wherever it ends up, I play from there. Whenever we shoot for the hole, we get a 6. Best ball means you play your own ball. You shoot a 10, and I shoot a 3. We get a 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you
Go
want,
Sam.
you want best
I think
ball.
a scramble completely hoses you.
Okay, then no scramble. Whatever doesn't hose me, that's the way
You
I want
agree-
to play.
Trev, you agree?
You can't do a scramble.
Right.
Okay.
It's non-competitive.
Right.
And I don't know how much competition there's going to be to begin with,
Right.
honestly.
But a
that
scramble gives
eliminates
Mason
it.
0 shot out of the gate.
So
Yes.
let me get this straight. So Sam, station owner Sam, and me both tee off.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
You
Sam,
pick a shot.
Sam hits a really good shot.
Yes.
Now I put my ball where Sam's ball is, and then we both
No,
hit
you
from
just
there.
a scramble would be 1 ball between the two of you. So you would go hit Sam's ball, then he hits the
Oh
next
my
one, then you hit
God.
the next one.
Yes,
and-
you don't want that.
Oh, we would go all day.
Yeah. So
We would go all day.
What you want is play your own ball. If you hit a halfway decent shot, you guys only have to play 1.
Right.
And then just hope you get lucky.
And there is 1 carry.
There,
Yeah,
the 8th hole
8.
you want no part of.
Yeah.
That you're
8
not.
is where I took him out last time. He couldn't get it over the
8
ravine.
is like a 200-yard carryover ravine.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
unlikely
to chip
happen.
from the men's tees to the ladies' tees.
Lay
and
up
then
to the
Sam,
ladies'
you hit
tees.
from
That's a
there.
See, I like though Mace's approach so far. He has not done any, driving range. He hasn't done any putting range, any warm up. But
practice is overrated.
Nobody looks the part right now. He is all attitude
He's got
and
a
vibes.
Sunday swagger on.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
So let me ask Jorge something before he gets out of here. Jorge,
Yes, sir.
you had a mascot challenge in
Yeah.
which you had 3 picks.
Huh?
Your 3 picks were what?
Tommy the Trojan.
Which
Okay.
which would
Yeah.
be my number 1.
Yeah, the Kool-Aid Man
Okay.
and Mr. Clean.
Okay. How in the world could you not take Tungus?
Yeah, why did
I know.
AMPM
Why did
Tungus.
How
Tungus not get
in
drafted?
honor of
Good
Maite
pick.
You're
alone,
right.
you should have taken
He's got
Tungus.
cinnamon roll hands with hot dog fingers.
dog
He's
fingers.
Cheeto beard.
All right, he's always
Licorice
been,
hair.
Yeah, he's always been your guy.
He has. I
What-
forgot about Tungus.
What happened? Mike didn't Mike. What is one of Maite's first words? Tungus.
Tungus, yeah, from
that
watching
right?
TV. That's right.
I was shocked. I was driving to my car. I said, "I'll bet anything Jorge takes Tungus." There it is. There's
it
Maite
is.
saying
That's
Tungus.
terrific.
Yeah. And nothing. No love from her
Hey,
dad.
take Mr. Clean out. Replace him with Tungus.
Tungus.
I didn't realize Tungus is a mascot.
Oh, well, come on. He's the mascot
what do
for
you think
AMP.
he
Come
is?
on,
A character.
Andy. You
A
just don't
character.
understand
I
this draft
don't.
at all.
Oh, no, I don't. I absolutely
Who do you
don't.
take?
Andy took the Fred Bird from the St. Louis
That's
Cardinals.
a good one.
Yeah.
The Philly Fanatic.
Good one.
That's an
and
awesome one.
Steely McBeam from the Steelers.
Oh, that's a terrible pick.
Yeah, that's
Well, the name is
he just likes
evocative.
the name.
I
Steely
like the
McBeam.
name.
Yeah, it's an evocative.
Did anybody take Rocky from the Nuggets? That's a really good mascot.
Nobody
No.
took it. I took the Phoenix Gorilla.
Well, the Phoenix Gorilla 20 years ago would have been a first-round draft pick, but now Rocky dwarfs the
but
gorilla.
it's the original.
By the way, the Rocky apparently makes
like $600,000,
$500,000. I
No
heard.
Yeah.
way.
I heard 6.
Is,
He
now,
does-
what does Rocky have to do? He jumps on
He's
a
an
trampoline?
acrobat in a
And he's probably
mountain
got to show
lion
up at
suit.
some corporate events and
Right.
things like that.
But $500,000.
$500,000. Good for the guy in the felt suit.
The first guy off the board was I had the first overall pick, San Diego Chicken.
Yeah,
Just
no,
like
it's
the
classic.
OG of
Yeah,
sports
just
mascots.
classic,
We don't have this draft
timeless.
without the San Diego Chicken.
Well, he's got to be.
Ted Giannoulis.
Yes.
I used to be when I was working minor league baseball. Every year, the San Diego Chicken would show up and do a game. He would do a game at every minor league park in the country. It was a big. Hey, the San Diego Chicken's going to be here
He was
Monday
a
night.
celebrity.
Oh yeah,
He was on baseball cards. He was on the baseball bunch with Johnny Bench. He was all over the place.
he was really.
You know,
the
started
original
as a radio
mascot.
station mascot.
Ted Giannoulis
Yeah.
as the chicken.
The
Yep.
KGB Chicken.
No
KGB
kidding.
was a radio station in San Diego, and he was the station mascot.
I didn't know that.
And was really good at. Matter of fact, the Holy Roller play, where Ken Stabler fumbles on purpose and Dave
Yep.
Casper picks it up, there's a famous shot of Ted Giannoulis playing the KGB Chicken with KGB across his chest where he fake faints. He's just up in the stands and he just drops.
Did they not have a big dispute between Ted Giannoulis and KGB when
Yeah.
he tried to go off on his own?
And he basically settled and then created the San Diego Chicken with and then was booking 200 gigs a year.
Who was the guy in the Bull Durham? Remember the old man who was
Max
kinda,
Paxton, the clown prince
He
of
could have been-
baseball.
that's
Yeah,
the
he's
minor-
in Bull Durham. That's
Yeah.
true.
I
He
didn't
is-
know that the chicken was on a similar
He's
path.
another guy that used to travel to every minor league baseball park. And it's Thursday night, Max Paxton.
Did you get to meet him when you were
I
in your
did.
minor league
Super
tour?
nice man.
He
Super nice
did
man.
that
and really
forever.
clever stuff he did. He was very entertaining.
How was your vacay, John?
Unbelievable.
Yeah?
You would have loved it.
You went to
Pinehurst.
North Carolina.
Yeah, and just played golf, not 36.
You looked no worse for wear. You got a little
18.
tan.
Yeah, it was great.
How'd you play?
Hard courses, so it took me a while to get used to it. But yesterday shot 81 on a really hard course, which I'll take.
You played yesterday.
I did. I
And
played
so
yesterday
did you
morning.
fly
and
back this morning?
Fly home last night.
Okay.
By the way, am I the only one? Maybe I'm very late to the party on this. I'm a Delta guy. Love Delta. Always fly Delta. Occasionally, when I have to go to Idaho, I'll fly Alaska.
Alaska's good.
They're great.
Yep.
The only direct flight available was on American, and it was maybe my worst flying experience of all time.
Emily, this is where you come in off the top rope.
Does American just suck, and I was the last person to know it?
I think all of them suck in certain ways, and they all
Right.
are the
But
worst.
this was- all right.
American is especially sucky.
Right. Well, okay, so I could tell the story for an hour, but I'll make it easy. Our flight was supposed to leave at 6:10.
Out of Charlotte?
Out of Raleigh-Durham.
Okay.
It left at 8:50, okay? So more than a 2-hour delay. We get to the gate to get on the plane, and they say, this plane's being taken out of service. You have to go to a different gate. So we go to a different gate. We get on that plane.
You'd already loaded into the plane?
No, we never got on the plane,
Oh,
but our
okay.
bags were on that plane. So
Okay.
now we have to wait more. 2.5-hour delay. We finally get in the air. We come to L.A., and we land at Terminal 3, the Tom Bradley terminal.
Yes.
They say, your bags are at Terminal 5.
Oh.
And we've got old people on this flight.
Sure.
And I felt so bad for them.
What number is Bradley? Bradley's
3.
3, and the bags are at
25-minute
5.
walk. We get to 5, and they make the announcement, we're sorry, your bags are now going to 4.
No.
Turn around,
no,
go back.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
I'm like, I'll never, ever fly American again. It was the worst flying experience of all time. I would have rather changed planes on Delta than go direct on American.
What was the vibe at the carousel when
Oh,
they
I can't imagine.
moved you to now your third
People,
location?
well, and both ends. They got us on both ends,
Yeah.
and just steam coming out of everybody's ears.
yeah.
It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, the airlines suck. Although
And
you
LAX
mentioned-
is brutal. I'm
Del-
going to try and find a way to go out of Long
Well,
Beach.
especially when you're in the back corner back there,
Yeah.
because you can't, like, if you're on 1 or 8, if you're
Right.
at Southwest or United,
Sure.
you can cheat a little bit, but all the way into the airport is a nightmare.
But
So
I would
on
say
the way-
Delta is one of the best. Alaska is one of the best.
they're great, and I fly both of them all the time. I'd never flown American and didn't know any better, but it could not have been more of a cluster. It was just awful.
I have all my miles on United.
So do I.
Well, you hear what happened to United this week.
No, what
Their
happened?
computers went down and they canceled every flight.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine?
That's what happened to Southwest a few months
Right,
ago.
yeah.
Right?
Happened to
Southwest, it all
United
went
earlier.
down
It didn't
at the
last very
holidays,
long.
yeah.
For they had to cancel every flight, and a couple hours later they got it back up.
You probably have never experienced this, Mace, but when you're traveling with golf clubs, you have no choice but to have to check, right? It's not one of those I'll stuff everything in a bag and I'll just carry it on. When you're traveling for a golf trip, a ski trip, a surf trip, whatever, you're
and by the way,
at the mercy of it.
oversized was nowhere near the carousel.
Terminal 1.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it was just. But I got through it. Like Stu Lance says, any flight that lands is the best flight ever.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Andy and I were talking about this earlier. Is this the last time, whatever the regular season is, and however long the Dodgers survive in the playoffs, win a championship potentially, hopefully, Clayton Kershaw come back next year? Just knowing what we know
I heard
about
you guys talking about this. I would actually lean 60% yes.
That he
This
does come back.
doesn't feel. Mace, what do you think? This doesn't
I would
feel
lean 60%
like
no.
Well,
That's
Trav
where
is
I am.
like 80% no,
I
right?
think you'd probably split the difference, maybe 70.
Yeah.
There was something about the other night, and there's something about the press conference that he did afterwards.
And it's happened 3 seasons in a row now where he just runs out of steam at the end of the line.
Even after that long break, it's clearly run out of gas.
He's just not – Clayton Kershaw in April, May, June is Clayton Kershaw. Beyond that, you're not quite sure what it's going to be. He's a very prideful guy. He's done everything there is to do in Major League Baseball. I don't see him bouncing around to other teams. I think there's a really good
Rangers,
chance.
but that would probably be it.
Maybe.
Just like I could see if Dak Prescott flames out this year, I could see Matt Stafford going to the Cowboys.
2 places I think he could. 3, Matt Stafford. Cowboys for sure.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Miami if Tua gets concussed.
No, that's interesting.
Detroit.
No.
What if something happens to Jared Goff, or they feel like, you know what, this isn't quite what we
Jared
need?
Goff gets done in twice.
I'm just saying.
He gets done in twice by Matthew
He's
Stafford.
going to feel like he's on an episode of Punked or
To
something.
close the-
I
to
lost
close
my
the
job
Matthew
to Matthew
Stafford
Stafford
twice.
again.
I don't think Detroit's in the mix, but that
I
would
don't
be
either.
fascinating.
That would be weird.
By the way, Trav, are you signed up and ready to defend your Survivor
I am.
title?
I sent the money in yesterday.
Excellent.
I've
Who
already
are you-
made my pick.
Who are you going with week 1?
The Washington Commanders.
Me too.
Yeah,
Oh,
versus
you are.
Arizona.
Yeah,
Okay.
my mom
Yeah.
is going Baltimore, Mace.
I do not have answers yet.
Okay,
from
you're
from
still
my
looking it
people,
over.
my family, yeah.
Okay.
Or do you have a small group of teams that you're considering?
My mom. Oh, do I?
Yeah. Have you made your pick?
Have you looked at the odds yet?
I've not spent a lot of time doing.
Well, the
that.
biggest
But
favorite-
picking against Arizona is a pretty good bet. this
Last year,
Yeah.
picking against Houston was a really good way to
Well,
go.
so I'm picking against Arizona. My mom's picking against Houston. So we'll see. You know, it's not a terrible idea with Cooper Kupp out to pick against the Rams.
It's a terrible idea. I
Why?
just could never do that.
Well, you could.
Here's
I could
why.
not do
Let
that.
me make the case why it's a bad idea. The Rams, I don't think are going to win a ton of games, but we have not seen them play with their full team in the entire preseason and half of last season. Sean McVay knows what he's doing. I'm not saying that they're
Right.
going to go win 10 games, but I also don't think
And
they're
he
going to
normally
get blown
beats,
out a bunch of
He
times.
normally beats Seattle once a year someplace.
They lost to him both times last year, both of them by less than a touchdown.
Right.
This is make a field goal, somebody else misses a field goal, a fumble here or there. I need to see exactly what the Rams look like for a couple of weeks before I pick.
By the way,
against
kicker
them.
for the Rams is Brent Maher,
Brett
right?
Maher, yes.
Is
Maher.
it Maher or Maher?
I've heard it pronounced Maher.
I've heard Maher.
You know who you pronounce it? He missed 5 PATs in the playoffs in a row.
But did you
Although,
see?
that's
Did you
how
see
you
only
pronounce
missed
it.
3 field goals.
He was
all
like
year
28
last.
to 31
I
during
understand.
the season.
I understand. Look, he may be great. Kickers are like relief pitchers.
Right.
1 year they're great, next year not so great. He could come back. I'm going to need to see a few
But
PATs.
here's the thing: Maher isn't going to hurt us because we're probably not going to be in the playoffs, and that's where he falls
Or
apart.
in the end zone at times.
Or in the end zone. Exactly.
There's a lot going on. No, so you took the Commanders too?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, I think they.
But week 1 is often really hard to survive.
Yeah.
I've gone out week 1. I've been doing this probably 15 years. I've gone out week 1 twice.
Yeah, it's easy to go out week 1.
Last year, I took New Orleans because I figured everybody that played the Falcons was a good pick. Falcons had a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter, and I just got lucky and ended up winning the whole
Well, you
thing.
need to get lucky to win one of those
Yeah,
things.
this is not a skill game.
And
This
we
is a
and we
guessing game.
And the last week of the season, remember it was me and 3 other guys.
Right.
We all lost.
And
on
so
the
you
same weekend.
chopped, which
And
was smart.
Automatically. So if
It's an automatic
it's
chop?
an automatic chop if 3 or more people all lose in the final week.
Andy, I love the Chiefs tonight. How about you? A lot of people
Something
picking
about-
the Lions.
What's the line on this game?
7. Chiefs by 7.
Oh, give me the Lions plus 7.
I'll take Kansas
That's
City.
how I feel, actually. I think Detroit can keep it close.
Do we know
Plus,
if Kelsey's
Kansas City's-
playing?
He's not.
He's not.
His
But
ACL is intact, though.
Mahomes has
reassuring.
played in 5
But
season
they've also-
opening games.
They've also
He's
got
thrown for 25 touchdowns with no interceptions.
what's his name? Chris
Good ratio.
Jones.
Yes.
The defensive
Not
lineman.
playing.
Not playing.
He's important.
No Kelsey.
No
Right.
Kelsey.
I think Detroit can keep
ACL is intact, though.
That was my favorite diagnosis.
Yeah.
We believe his ACL is intact.
Right. We
Okay.
believe.
Right. We're not
his
even going to
ACL.
say 100% it's intact.
It is our opinion that it's intact. Super Crosstalk's brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out, that's what a hamburger's all